Bai Ning's a fugitive. 5, though he says that, the father himself honestly didn't have the energy to keep his face straight. After all, the man who swept his daughter off her feet has already made a child with her. What right does he have to just barge in on their business when he's been missing all these years? But a father's going to be a father. Forcing a stern face, boy, I have one more thing to ask you. What does that fake goddess mean when she called you the Demon King? This question should have came out much earlier, but due to the news regarding his wife Bai Ning, the man managed to keep it till now. Grandfather. Flashing a meaningful light in those big blue eyes, Bai Shuchen throws himself into his newly acquired grandfather's arm and spoke using the most pitiful and innocent tone he could muster. Grandfather, will you abandon me because I'm a fox? Strike. Talk about using his assets to the fullest. Since the kid was at the perfect age to act cute and cuddly, therefore he's completely won over the grandpa using that childish appearance. But if there is no father, then there won't be me, your adorable grandson. Grandfather, do you not want me? Is it because I'm a fox? Di Tsung absolutely loved this and shot an invisible thumbs up to his son right then and there. Now that's my boy. Reliable and scheming, he inherited all my good points. Now this speech has completely left Yun Feng in a bind. He couldn't exactly find a good excuse to keep one while shoving the other out, could he? Then casting his sight down to his legs that's being clung onto by the adorable kid, he was like, screw it. Of course not, my precious Shuchen. How could your grandfather I kick your father out the door? Then grandfather, are you agreeing to let my papa and mama make a little sister? All smiles there, the little steambun's face was as brilliant as the sun's glow. Yaa. I've always wanted a little sister. Every time I see Wang Xiaopeng and his sister playing, I would get so envious. To emphasize his wish, the kid didn't forget to reveal the hopeful look in his eyes, thus causing the man to ache so miserably inside. Oh, what a good child this one is. Clever and sensible, he deserves to have a sister. Someone come. Arrange a room for the Miss and Sir immediately. It must be one room, remember that. Orders taken care of, Yun Feng promptly shifted his attention over to the stupefied-looking Bai Yen. Yenner, you don't have to worry about your search efforts, I will send all of the most capable men we have out to look for the lass. During these coming days, you can rest at ease inside your bed chamber and work on making some more babies. Practically choked in her failed attempt to protest, I can't believe this. Just one word from my own son and that's enough for him to sell me out. Di Tsung on the other hand was unceremoniously grinning from one side to the other. Yen, how can we not obey when father-in-law has spoken? Let's start working on making a sister for our son right away. Di Tsung. Flustered and annoyed, the poor woman wanted to lash out only to be cut off by her own unreliable father's voice. That's wonderful. The sooner the better. When my people finish readying the room, you two can go at it right away. Gawking and unsure where to turn now for help, Bai Yen huffs and puffs like an extremely irritated rabbit. Didn't father say he want to keep me around for a few years? How can he do this? Bai Ning's a fugitive. 6, good child. Yun Feng warmly gives his grandchild a rub on the head to show how much he cared for the kid, thus causing a burst of giggling in return from the boy. Your grandfather, I will definitely grant you your wish, but before then, I still have one more request. Turning to Di Tsung after seemingly remembering something important. My daughter has been separated from me for many years, I can't bear to see her leaving so quickly for foreign lands. The demon realm is so far away. If Yenna marries over there, it will likely become very difficult to see her in the future. So, I hope, putting energy into his voice, you would stay in the Misty Fairy house. Squinting his eyes right then and there, a devious and scheming light flashed within Di Tsung's iris. Okay, I can promise to stay in the Misty Fairy house. But the demon realm cannot be without a king, and Xiachen doesn't want to manage it either. So, when Yen gives birth to another son for me, I will toss the throne to him and leave the boy in charge. Afterwards I will return here with Yen Yen and live together. This boy, just because he has Xiachen backing him up that he's talking terms now. Yun Feng complains inwardly, but what he said isn't unreasonable. Then Yenner, you need to work hard and make some more babies. When you have another son, I can then see you often. The poor woman makes a dismayed face at everyone. To be fair, she's been schemed against by her own husband and she knows it, yet she could do nothing to refute it or fight back. Oh Yen Yen, father-in-law has spoken, let us go back to our room and begin our work. Taking advantage of the opening, Di Tsung promptly swirled his naughty hands around the woman's waist and swept her away and out of sight. Xiachen. Stepping forward to pick up the kid from the floor, Di Xiaowan was all smiles on the face now that the great big scary brother was gone. Auntie here missed you so much, why don't we go have a tour around the place? Tour? Are you sure it's not to cause trouble? Blinking his big blue eyes, the kid eyes his auntie with a suspicious look. This sweet Dumbaklut's auntie of mine has never been good, she's a typical troublemaker. Xiachen. Pouting up her cheeks, the demon princess shows an exasperated face. What do you mean by this? Not only does your father bullies me, now you're also bullying me. How can you think of me like that? I am never one to go provoking others or to make trouble, really. The kid remains skeptical. There are simply too many cases where she's roused up a storm with Chu Yi, Holy Land Princess, and needed his mother to clean up the mess. So, this time was no different in the boy's view. Don't worry Xiachen, you two can go have fun. Even if you do cause some trouble along the way, your grandfather here will handle the aftermath. Yun Feng may not like his new son-in-law all that much due to the man stealing away his daughter, but towards this younger sister, he's rather fond of her. Father, you can rest assured that I won't get into trouble. Patting her chest like it would mean anything, the demon princess readily promises. Stiff in the face, what did you call me? Father, of course. Since you are my sister-in-law's old man, then it's only normal I call you father. Fluttering her flashy eyebrows, the demon princess doesn't seem to understand what she did wrong. The man's mouth twitched several times over that answer. If one didn't know better, they might think you're trying to rob your brother of his wife. Fortunately this Dumbaklutz didn't outright call Yun Feng her father-in-law, otherwise who knows what Di Tsung would have done to her after getting wind of that. Likely a good beating for real. Then father, can me and Xiachen go out? She asks without a second thought. Waving his hand, go ahead, just remember to come back early. The outside is not safe at night. Not safe. Puckering his lips to the side, Xiachen didn't have the same opinion as his grandfather. To him, the ones who needs to watch out wasn't them, it's those from the Misty Fairy house. Dragonese whereabout. 1. Flinging the door open, the man carefully places the woman in his possession down onto the king-sized bed. That movement was extremely light as if he's holding a treasure. Di Tsung, suddenly, the woman met that restless hand with her own in order to stop the undressing. Thankfully that rosy smile she's making told the other sex she's not at all unwilling, but rather a momentary pause to their impending union. Actually, I have something I'm hiding from you. Stopped with most of their outer clothes pried wide open, it's only a few steps more for everything to come off. As Di Tsung made this sound with his raspy voice of neediness, he deliberately smudges his lip across that blushing cheek to emphasize his desire. Do you remember when you forced your contract with me? Lowering her face as if recollecting memories of old, the scene of that blood-colored battlefield once again replays itself, thus causing her heart to tense up in pain. Not only just you, but also when Little Rice and Sing Yi made a contract with me, I saw a battlefield flash before my eyes. In that place, the both of them died in order to protect me, and the demon realm and celestial realm were at war with each other too. For a while, the atmosphere in the room became rather strange, like they're both unsure how to proceed because was now completely silent. Eventually Bai Yen decides this secret couldn't be withheld. Biting her lower lip, she continues, "Do you understand what I'm going with this? Whenever you wanted to have sex with me before, I stopped you every time partly because of that. I kept experiencing that flashback during the final phase. But now I want you to know what's happening. So, help me remember everything because I think those images are from my past life, and I don't want this issue to keep stopping us halfway." Understanding what his wife meant by that, Di-tsang promptly used his powerful pair of hands to pull the woman into a seated position atop of his lap. Then using his bloodishly red lip, he closes the distance to give a light peck on the mouth before speaking, "In your memories, was I there?" Under that intense and possessive gaze, Bai Yan firmly nods, "Yes." This instantly brought a wave of happiness to the man. This great demon lord has never been one to smile, nor does he like to smile all in fact. However, that changes as soon as he's in front of his wife, especially when Bai Yan just confessed she has him in his heart. "Then I am relieved." Confused by that reply, Bai Yan didn't understand where her husband's focus was on. "It's not matching up with the topic. Yen, I don't care what happened in your previous life, as long as you are mine in this lifetime then that's enough for me." Leaning in closer to finally give a full kiss, and that celestial realm will sooner or later become ours. "I will conquer all the realms if I have to, just so you can live in peace. I know you will keep your words, but until then though, I want to learn more about the memories I have first." Looking up, Bai Yan's starry eyes were heart-thumpingly seductive to the point where even the man had to gasp inside. "Okay." When the word came out, their bodies were already mingling together in a struggle for control. Dragonis whereabout, too, Bai Yan's eyelash started to quiver as soon as she's closed them due to the intense rush of ecstasy that coursed through her veins as a result of the ill-behaving man's effort. But the rush didn't last for long because her state of mind also went into the same blank mode as before. Sure enough, Bai Yan's consciousness was now standing in the same space that plagued her mind. Unlike usual though, this time it's not a blood-stained battlefield, but rather a perfectly blue sky without a speck of cloud. Perhaps it's due to her change of heart in wanting to dive deeper rather than avoid the issue. Regardless of the reasoning, it's now different. Looking around to scan her surroundings, Bai Yan soon found the main characters for this dream. It's a young girl crouched into the grasses tending to a silvery fox. Based on the blood staining its fur, the little fella was obviously injured. And despite the kind gesture and smiling face from the human, the animal clearly didn't take it well and growled in return. "Little fox, how can you growl at me when I'm trying to save you? If you don't get your act together then I'm going to smack your bottom." The young girl should have been around 12 to 13 years old based on her appearance. As someone that's still not matured enough to understand her actions, she huffs and puffs and returned with a stare of her own. Not to be taken lightly, the silvery fox proudly snorts at that threat and paid no heed to the pumping fist. "I would rather die than to let you bunch from the celestial realm save me." Not far away, Bai Yan silently watches the silly interaction between the pair and soon realizes this must be her and Di-tsang's first encounter in their former life. It's too obvious. For one thing, that arrogant and overbearing attitude was one and the same. Even if the temperament spelled the man's existence to the teeth because Bai Yan suddenly had the urge to toss that personality to the trash bin. "Here, if you take this medicinal pill then your injury will be healed. You should leave this place quickly once you're able to move, it's not good if others to find you." The girl ignores the resistance of her patient and hands a beady little pill to the fox. But the little fella didn't take the item, only staring at it with a wrinkle on the forehead as if contemplating something. "Yenner," a third voice cuts in from the air, causing the young girl to jerk up in a panic. In her flustered state, she immediately tossed the fox into a nearby cave followed by her medicine. Deed done, only then did she swing around to meet the oncoming man from the front. This should have been nothing special, but Bai Yan was now fully paying attention to this new arrival. She's not sure either but that voice sounded vaguely familiar like it's been heard somewhere. Wanting to dig deeper since she's unable to see that face due to the man having his back turned to her, Bai Yan figured it's time she moved closer to get a clearer look. It's not known what happened or if something in the background caught the stranger's attention, but right when she's only a step away from getting a perfect look, the man swings around and catches her completely off guard. Then, as if that wasn't bad enough, a sudden stinging pain from her lower abdomen shakes her soul, shattering the entire image at the crucial moment. Dragonese whereabout, 3. At first Bai Yan's head was still reeling in from being forcibly pulled back to reality, but the next thrusting pain that came completely destroyed any form of haziness in her head. Looking down, she could see clearly what's happening and the cause for the interruption, one hand groping her breast, the other holding her left leg down to open herself up for entry. This bastard was having his way with her by ramming that slimy rod in and out of her slippery folds as he pleased. This enraged the woman. Literally screaming like a lioness, she gives a ruthless kick at the man's manhood. Get off me. Just a little bit more and I could have seen who that guy was. But because of Di Tsang's horniness, I lost the chance. Yen. All red and purple in the face, Di Tsang started spewing cold sweat on the forehead as his hand covered the part which should have never been kicked. Are you trying to maim your own husband with that kick? Get out. The livid rage still plastered on her face. Bai Yan had honestly never expected this thug to go so far without her consent. What she meant earlier was for him to help her enter that world, not downright start having sex while her consciousness was away. Yen. Realizing his wife wasn't joking around in that tone, Di Tsang became anxious. Hurrying to clasp onto her hands to make up for his folly, his face played innocent. I'm just obeying father-in-law's command, and earlier you also agreed. I could have let you continued if you had just waited for one more moment. Why did you have to push in at that moment? I was so close to seeing who that guy was. In fact, Bai Yan could tell that individual back there was exactly the same person who stood at opposing sides to herself and Di Tsang at the first battle. That meant the death of Azure Dragon and White Tiger must be related to him as well. And, the air coming off of that guy felt so familiar that it's driving her nuts. It's definitely someone she knew, but who? I know my fault. Staring up at her like a pleading puppy, Di Tsang was really putting it on thick. I don't care, you go outside right now. Heaving a long huff, she points to the door and orders him to move it. Yen, go out, you're not coming back inside until I say so. She shoots an exasperated glare at him. Just hit me if you're angry, don't hurt your own body, okay? In his futile attempt, the man pulls her hand to smack at the chest to only fail miserably because Bai Yan had already retracted them before contact. Seeing the unwilling attitude, the man's devious grin grew in kind. Yen, I just knew you wouldn't have the heart to hit me. Quit it with that play. Pointing at the doorway again, she remains firm in her stance. I want to calm down and think about this. Though very disappointed by the rejection, Di Tsang nevertheless got off the bed as told. Okay, but make sure to call me when you're done. After saying that, he then went towards the outside only to stop midway. I will wait for you at the door here, okay? Talk about annoying and hilarious. Bai Yan truly didn't know whether to be angry or to laugh at this guy's shamelessness at this point. Calling him a thug is perfect, yet he's so lovable at times like these. Yes, even before she left the demon realm, Bai Yan has already fallen in love with this persistent bastard. Otherwise, why else would she lose all sense of sanity and logic back then? If it was the usual her, she would have deduced something was wrong and investigated the matter thoroughly instead of outright leaving. That's the sort of personality she has. Thankfully fate was kind and the man she loves treasure herself to the fullest. Therefore, Bai Yan has no intention of repeating the same mistake her own mother made back on Earth. Dragonese whereabout, 4. By the time Di Xiaowan and Bai Xiachen returned from their little outing, the hour was already late into the evening. So, out of curiosity and worry, Chief Wu Wei had decided to ask the guard he sent along for the details. Did any trouble cross Miss Xiao Wan's path today? Wiping some of the cold sweat from his forehead, the guard makes a wry smile as if that's the most ridiculous question ever. Trouble for the lady? More like she's making trouble for others. What's the matter? Why are you not answering? Did someone cause them harm? Seeing no reply came, the chief demands an answer. It's like this, chief. Today Miss Xiao Wan she crippled the young master from the Lin clan. The guard's body was shaking just thinking back to the gruesome image of today's event. Frowning, what do you mean by that? Explain. Because of a few teasing words to the lady, she slapped the young man across the face and sent him flying. Now the teen couldn't even speak as a result of the injury. She's that fierce. Startled by the news, Chief Wu Wei didn't expect this of the girl. In his view, the young lady should be a well-heaving young lady with a lovely appearance, who could have thought her methods are even more direct and cruel. And then, the Lin family retaliated after learning of the teen's injury. They sent countless masters to get even with Miss Xiao Wan, but the results were. Chief, she actually uprooted the entire Lin family by herself. I don't mean she just gave them a beating. She actually uprooted their entire estate and now there's only a giant pit in where their mansion should be. This lady is clearly not the type to be messed with. Why did the chief even send me to follow her around? The guard's almost crying by this point. More importantly, this lady is a trouble magnet. Not only did she uproot the Lin family's home, she also dropped a warning after the deed, stating Miss Bai Yan's her sister-in-law. If anyone comes seeking trouble, she will go back and protest for revenge. Now the entire Misty Fairy house is in an uproar. They all fear the girl and would flee at first sight. Gasping, Chief Wu Wei almost fell to the floor when he stumbled backwards. Holding his chest like his heart's about to bleed, slow down first. What you're telling me is that the reputation of our main house is ruined, is that what you mean? It's one thing to uproot the Lin family, after all, it was their side who provoked the girl first with the teasing comments. But to throw that last statement out there. Isn't that the same as making trouble for us? Seeing the chief was this frightened already after his report, the guard figured he's safer if he avoided detailing about the next incidents that followed afterwards. Changing the topic for his own benefit, Chief, I believe the lady is in no need of protection, so. Right, you don't have to follow them anymore starting today. Shaking his head with a wry smile, in the Misty Fairy house, it's unlikely anyone is capable of harming the girl at all. If you continue to follow her then it might turn into her protecting you. Forget it, you can go back to your regular work. Waving his hand, the chief dismisses the subordinate. Bowing his head in great relief, the guard was just about to leave when he was stopped. Wait, where exactly is Miss Xiao Wan and my great-grandson right now? They went to the young ladies and sir's room. Should I go stop them? Because of Yun Feng's order earlier today of not letting anyone get near the bed chamber, the guard wanted to get explicit permission before doing so. It's not the man getting paranoid or anything, but rather there's an example to follow. Huan Yin already came earlier to seek an audience from Bai Yan in order to show her gratitude for the debt of curing her body's ailment. Sadly, the hopeless lass was turned away using that reasoning. Dragonis whereabout, 5, picking up a smirk of his own, the chief could already imagine what's going to happen. And, based on Miss Xiao Wan's fear of her own brother, I doubt she will have the courage to disturb their good moment. Yes, chief, cupping his hand, the guard complies. While that was taking place in the study room, Di Xiao Wan and Bai Xiachen on the other hand have already arrived at the mentioned courtyard. When the pair saw who was outside the bed chamber and what he's doing, they had to rub their eyes to make sure it's not an illusion. "Ha, is that my brother?" The kid nods, "It looks like Batty father all right." Xiachen, a sly light escapes the demon princess's eye, "You go do what we planned. Hurry." This, all tangled inside, this might not be a good idea after all. He's no stranger to this sweet Dumbaklutz pulling a fast one on others, but not even this kid would be crazy enough to test his old man's patience. That's the equivalent of provoking the big bad boss of a dungeon. What's so bad about our plan? The demon princess huffs a grunt. Did you forget already? Xiaqin, if not for my brother, your father, luring so many love flowers over and not cleaning after his own mess, would your mother be hurt? Would she run away from home with you? We are not doing anything bad, okay? We are getting even for your mother's sake, so there's no harm done at all. Swinging his little head around to meet that beautiful eye of the girl's, but auntie, I remember you also had a hand in causing the misunderstanding that day. Stiff in the face, I know that. But the main culprit is still your father, so we have to give him a lesson so he won't forget. This way he won't ever think about trying it for a second time. Going silent after hearing that last bit, the boy once again recalls back to the pained look of his mother's face that day. As such, his involuntarily nodded in agreement. Okay auntie, you wait here for me. Grinning right up to her eyes now, Di Xiaowan didn't bother to hide her glee at this moment. Over the years, she's been scared shitless by her older brother, so getting payback in this manner was something she could have only dreamed about until now. At this time, Di Tsung's mind was so full of what he's going to do in order to win his wife's forgiveness that he didn't even realize he's now with company. But that's changed as soon as he's heard that howl in the air. Turning dark in his face, the man could see, whether it be the sky or ground, hordes of demon beasts were quickly converging on his location. And due to this commotion, others of the residents had also come over in order to investigate. To everyone's great surprise and astonishment, they saw it. To be more precise, what Di Tsung was doing at this moment. He's kneeling in front of the bed chamber because Bai Yan had banished him out the door. But that's not all though. Being thrown out of the bed was common for those being married. What shocked everyone was what's underneath the man's leg. There's a washboard. Note, for those that don't know, a washboard is what people used to use to wash laundry with. It's like a grater where they keep rubbing the clothes with water and soap. The great demon lord, proud and almighty, their leader and god, was now degraded to being a kneeling doorman. Talk about destroying one's image in its entirety. Who let any of you come in? Slightly cold and glaring, Di Tsung pulls himself up like nothing's happened. Dragonese whereabout, 6, Di Xiaowan. Di Tsung's sight eventually fell upon the princess's head where he spoke using the heaviest voice he's ever used. Shouldn't you be giving me an explanation? Shuddering at being called out, the girl quickly takes a step back. It's not my business, it's your baby boy. He called everyone over with his howl to see the show. By this point Bai Xiaqin was already looking gobsmackingly stunned. I've been cheated? And it's sweet Dumbaklutz who cheated me. Bai Xiaqin. Grinding his teeth, Di Tsung snaps out at his son. But before any punishment could be dished out for this travesty, the door behind himself was suddenly flung open with a huge kick. Knowing full well what's happening, the man's first instinct was to make a quick dash back towards the washboard and onto his knees. Yen Yen, are you finally ready to come out to see me? He smiles all innocently like he didn't utter any threat. What are you all doing here? Sweeping her gaze across the gathered crowd, all of you get out of here. At that cry, most of the flocking demon beasts started to scramble away like they'd been pardoned by their liege. This included some of the humans who were careless enough to come snooping around. As for Di Xiaowan and the boy, they weren't so lucky because just when they're about to slip away among the masses, the woman's voice caught them. The two of you stay. Sister-in-law. All stiff in her expression, Di Xiaowan forces a smile. I am innocent. Mother, it's auntie who used me. Blinking his big blue eyes, the kid promptly pulled out a poor face like he's also a victim. Next time I won't protect you too if this happens again. Sucking in a deep breath, Bai Yan makes a slightly deflated sigh at the troublesome pair. Yes, mother. Sister-in-law, I promise I won't bring anyone to come see a show next time. After being relieved at the pardon, the pair quickly ran away out of fear by Yen changing her mind. How long are you going to keep kneeling there? I only had you go outside, I didn't. Looking down at the shameless man, she once again heaves a long sigh like the trouble never ends. So you're forgiving me? Di Tsang's face was filled to the brim with affection as he asked. What he really meant there though was this: if you don't forgive me then I won't get up. This bastard is becoming more like a thug every day. Grinding her molars, the poor woman wanted to give him a stomp to vent some of the frustration. Fine, I'll forgive you this time. However, you mustn't disturb me at the next occasion, or else, squinting her eyes into a narrow slit, a warning gleam shoots out of the woman's pupil. But who was Di Tsang? He's the utterly shameless and hopeless demon lord who's madly in love with this human woman. Jerking up like a pouncing wolf on a hormone-induced craze, he jumps at the chance to wind his horny hands around his wife's waist and onto her butt. Grinning wickedly, we didn't manage to complete the process earlier, how about we finish what we started? Shooting a stare over to the guy, this bastard is so hopeless, arg. He's already showing his real face as soon as I forgive him. Are you sure you can keep it up after taking my kick? Doesn't that part hurt? Oh my love, you are taking your husband here too lightly. Even if you stomp at it 10 more times, 100 more times, I can still get it up and rearing to go. Is that so? All dangerous in that frosty smirk, Bai Yen shifts her sight down to the man's bulging crotch. Then why don't we take that theory to the test? Towards this suggestion, Di Tsang could literally feel a chilling breeze running through his back. He knows he's very well fucked up this time by saying what he shouldn't. To be clear, that kick earlier had nearly brought him to tears. A humph. Suddenly, a faint cough from the side interrupts their flirting conversation. Looking over, they could see it's Bai Yan's father standing there with a great big grin of baring teeth. Father, what are you doing here? She asks. Oh, I was just having a stroll around the home when I heard people mentioning there's a good show to be seen here. But it looks like I've come late and missed it. While Bai Yan herself was twitching in the corner of her mouth over that comment, Di Tsang wasn't faring so well. His face was a complete charcoal black because not only did he humiliate himself before everyone today, he also lost any form of respect he would have had by letting his father-in-law see his pitiful image of kneeling on a washboard. Sure enough, rumors of the great demon lord being nothing more than a wife-slave has begun from this day forward. A reputation which would continue to haunt Di Tsang until the day he passes away. Dragoness whereabout, 7, she now finally knows how her son managed to pull so many demon beasts here at once. The boy used Di Tsang as a monkey show. Don't listen to those people, father, what show could there be here to watch? Pinching her husband's hand, Bai Yan shoots a stare to her man as a warning not to babble on in case it makes things worse. Unfortunately for this careless woman, her act only gave the demon lord the opportunity to grasp onto those fingers and not let go. Acting like he's oblivious to their flirtatious behavior, Yun Feng continues to grin from eye to eye. Actually, I came to find you too for another matter. What? Startled, Bai Yan asks. Remember the little lass you're looking for? Well, someone has informed me there's information on her whereabout. According to some eyewitnesses at Plum Mountain, there's been a sighting of a dragon that could transform into a human girl. I suspect that dragon is the one you're seeking. Lighting up in the face, where is this Plum Mountain? It's not far from here, I can get my people to accompany you. There's no need for that. Tell me the directions and we will go there on our own. Also father, I will have to bother you to look after Xiachen and Xiao Wan while we're not around. This promptly brought on a twitching disorder in the man's mouth. Yun Feng's not oblivious to the troubles caused by the demon princess in the short time she's around so far. Yenner, can you bring Miss Xiao Wan along with you and leave Xiachen behind? This won't do. If that girl continues to stay at our home unsupervised then who knows what other sort of problems might arise. No need for that sort of hassle, we'll be back very soon anyways. If we bring her along with us then I'm afraid it might take more than a few days to return. Bai Yen naturally didn't quite get the hint in her old man's plea there, hence the denial. Alright, then you must come back quickly, as soon as possible. Yun Feng made sure to repeat this twice to emphasize that point. Sadly, this fell on deaf ears. Turning to Di Tsang, Bai Yen decides to head off. We're leaving now. I want to find Dragony as soon as possible. Okay. Towards his wife's request, this demon lord has never been one to refuse. But the most hateful part was the fact that the dragon girl holds an important spot in Bai Yan's heart, which meant he's now forced to share another space in there with someone else. Oh yes, Tsing Yi will also have to be in your care while we're gone. Please find the ingredients on the list I gave you. She is in urgent need of the medicine. After some thought, Bai Yen bothers her old man with another request. It couldn't be helped. The injuries have been there years already, any longer, and it might devolve into a scenario where even Bai Yen might not have the confidence to tackle. Don't worry, I have already found all the herbs you need except for one. The last is already being searched by my people. I'm sure there will be news very soon. This was a rare chance for Yun Feng to act like a proper father, so this request has become top priority in the man's head. Then we'll set off first. Heaving a breather, Bai Yen no longer wants to delay the matter and waltz right out of the courtyard. Plum Mountains located not far from the main city. With the strength of a monarch rank, reaching the place could be done within a day's time if they rushed it. Under normal circumstances, this mountain would be a quiet and peaceful area for those who wish to go for a hike or a little venture, but now, it's crowded with large numbers of adventurers and members of various smaller sections. The most notable were the group standing at guard expelling everyone else from the mountain. This Plum Mountain is now under the control of our Sky Dragon sect. Outsiders are to leave immediately. Aren't you people overstepping your boundaries? Who here doesn't know there's a dragon up in the mountain? Seeing the bullying behavior of these people from the Sky Dragon sect, the rest of the adventurers had all started to shout and curse at them. Though there are indeed dragons living within the territories of the Misty Fairy House, but after so many years of secrecy and lack of sighting, most have gradually turned to believing it as a myth. For example, these adventurers and smaller sects under the rule of the Misty Fairy House only came because of the rumored sighting. Not even they themselves actually believed the myth until recently, where someone noteworthy swore by the rumor. Dragoni's whereabout, 8, ho ho. The people from the Sky Dragon sect scoffs a laugh at the outspoken individual. You're nothing but a king rank, how dare you come here and demand a piece of the prize? Know this, our sect leader has already broken into the monarch rank the other day, now do you still want to talk? For a while there, the rest of the protesting crowd had gone silent, their faces all fuming red due to the curses they couldn't say. And another thing, our leader has gone in person to the Plum Mountain, presumably to tame that dragon. If you people don't leave now, then you better prepare yourselves. By then I doubt any of you will be able to get off easy. But that doesn't mean you can just take the dragon girl for yourself either. The outspoken individual still didn't want to leave. He knows if they don't fight for the dragon, then it would mean a major loss on their part and a major gain for the foe. But, it's as these grunts down here says, their sect leader was indeed very powerful. More than they could handle. Then just as the blockading grunts were about to throw another series of mockery at the other side, someone suddenly exclaimed from the side and cut their voices off. Just now, did you see that? I think someone just entered the Plum Mountain. What? The leading grunt grew furious. Who dares to go against our Sky Dragon sect? If the sect leader finds out I didn't stop everyone at the base as ordered. Thinking of the consequences, the leading grunt immediately scans the mountain for signs of the trespassers. Sure enough, his eyes soon fell upon the family of trio moving up the dirt path. The most eye-catching had to be the woman in red. She's most likely the wife and was exceptionally beautiful. As for the child holding onto the female's hand, it would be the son based on how carefree he was acting in between the parents. And as for the male who was both threatening and seductive, the grunt didn't dare to make eye contact and shirked away at first glance. "The three of you don't move." Despite the hollering order, the family simply ignored him and continued on for the deeper parts of the mountain. "Do you know who we are? We are the Sky Dragon sect. All living dragons of this world belongs to us, they are our slaves." Trembling all over due to the intense rage and fear coursing through the grunt's vein, he could do nothing but to use his own sect's name to threaten the couple. He's the typical type to bully the weak and cower before the strong. Meanwhile in the background, the other adventurers and smaller sects were all showing shock at this blatant display of dismissal. Though they also wanted to act like that and not admit defeat, but the Sky Armor sect holds too much power and influence in comparison. These three are courting their own death at this rate. We may speak out, but who would really dare to go up the mountain? True, I've heard before that the Sky Dragon sect is named as so is because the founder managed to tame a flying dragon and make it their servant. As a result of the gossiping voices, the grunts in charge of blockading the mountain base were immediately lit with pride after being openly humiliated. But then was that really the true story about a dragon being tamed? Absolutely not. There did exist a dragon in this Sky Dragon sect hundreds of years ago. However, the master in that case fell to the dragon and it was the humans who are in charge of servicing the serpent. The dragon chief of the demon realm, 1. So, in order to hide the humiliating truth of himself being a mere servant to a beast after succumbing to its might, the founder of the Sky Dragon sect deliberately changed the history texts to suit his needs. Perhaps it's the boastful talks of his organization taming a dragon or whatever, but the leading grunt now suddenly found himself with courage. Picking up a hefty branch from the ground, he flings it at the family of three like a childish taunt. However, before the wooden object could make contact at all, the branch had suddenly halted in midair and swung around like a projectile. This scared the daylights out of the man, of course. Without being able to scream at this horrid sight, the branch had impaled itself into the leading grunt's chest and took his life away. The whole mountain base had fallen into a dead silence over this sight. Not a single person dared to move or utter a single word, that's how horrified they were at the disappearing figures of that family. Plum Mountain. Standing atop of the peak, Ling Ching-chang coldly glares at the gathered group in front of herself. What, does the Grass Heaven sect and Flying Moon sect also want to fight me for the prize? Oh Ching-chang, that's not right in what you're saying. Lord Bao of the Grass Heaven sect sneers at the leader of the Sky Dragon sect. Since when is there a rule that other sects can't aim for the dragon just because you want her? As we all know, the number of demon beasts have been dwindling in the world, especially the dragon race. Now that one is before our eyes, there's no way we would give it up. That's right. Zhong Mu Qing of the Flying Moon sect also chimes in. Lord Bao is right, there's no reason for us to yield to you Ching-chang. You may be the leader of the Sky Dragon sect, but that doesn't mean we will do as you wish. What's more, I'm sure the rest of the world will also do the same if they become aware of what's happening here. Hearing the words of these two men, Ling Ching-chang's temple immediately furrowed into a knot. There's a gleam of killing intent she's trying to suppress. It looks like the two of you have forgotten about my sect's origin. All dragons belong to us and must serve my people. You two want to snatch away what is by right the Sky Dragon sect's inheritance. Dream on. The two of you don't have that ability. Raising a smirk, this woman then shifts her gaze at the young little girl lying on the ground. This young lass had a very lovely appearance, just that it's marred by the anger-filled eyes staring at the humans gathered around herself. And as a result of the injuries she succumbed to, that face looked rather pale in the reflecting light of the sun. Little girl. Compared with the cold prideful tone she used against the others, Ling Ching-chang of the Sky Dragon sect sounded a lot kinder when facing her prize. These bad people are here to hurt you. Only by coming back to my home will you be sheltered from their evil hands. I don't believe in humans. The little girl huffs and swings her head to one side. Don't worry little girl, my Sky Dragon sect is known to be very good to your kind. As long as you follow me then no one can hurt you again. Really? Perhaps it's due to her lack of experience and age, but the last soon came around and asked with a tinge of hope in her voice, then can you help me find a person? Who? Elated inside, the woman hurries to ask. She's called Bai Yen. That little sister is looking for this Bai Yen. If I have these humans help then it should make it faster. The dragon chief of the demon realm, too, as for what she looks like, I don't know, the little girl frowns and makes a disappointed face. I only know she looks very good, and that she carries a baby fox around at all times. That fox is very beautiful though, so can you help me find them? Don't know what she looks like. Flashing in the eye like she's come down with a wonderful idea, Ling Qing Chang almost broke out into laughter. What a coincidence, my Sky Dragon sect also has someone that's called Bai Yen and she carries around a fox too. She might just be the one you're seeking. Really? The girl immediately livened up with those sparkling eyes. Little girl, Shui Bao of the Grass Heaven sect could no longer watch this. Using a sarcastic tone, this woman is a very high-handed person. If you do go with her then you will likely never be able to leave again. First looking at the fleshy-looking Shui Bao, then at the good-looking woman, the little girl subconsciously chose to believe the female instead. It couldn't be helped, looks are everything nowadays, especially when one's in unknown territory. I can go with you to the Sky Dragon sect, but you must let me meet Bai Yen. Little sister is still waiting for that person to go save her. Seeing the little girl's willingness to stand from the ground, Ling Qing Chang immediately issued a sigh of relief. She had worried earlier that it would be difficult to get the dragon to come with herself, but now it seems only a few lies was what's needed to break apart that vigilant attitude. Humph, once you're at my place then you will be forever mine. In this life, you will be my most loyal slave. Hold it. Seeing how the coveting prize was about to leave before their eyes, the other two men who also showed today could no longer stay idle. They attacked from both sides and raised a storm of clouds with their strikes. You people are seeking death. Greatly enraged by the interference, Ling Qing Chang retaliates only to be forced backwards in the first exchange. She's only by herself and there's two powerful foes right now. Swoosh! 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 Multiple figures descends onto the ground at this moment, their stances in a defensive position around Qing Chang's front. Grinning right up to her eyes, elders, I will take this girl and leave first, handle these impudent transgressors until we're free. As soon as she said that, the woman immediately makes a grab for the little girl's collar. In one jump, the pair had flown into the air and disappeared onto the surrounding environment. As a result of that little turn of event, Bai Yen and her family weren't able to witness the whole process after they arrived. However, they did come across the ensuing fight that's now devastating the landscape in this part of the mountain. Di Tsang, it seems that we are late in reaching here. Dragony is nowhere to be seen. Showing a faint frown on her face, Bai Yen watches the battle between two forces up in the clouds with her son and husband. Wait here for me Yen Yen, I won't be long. The man seductively whispers this into her ear and causes his wife to daze out for a moment. By the time Bai Yen came back to her senses, it was already too late to stop him. All of you listen up, have any of you seen a wounded dragon around here? The dragon chief of the demon realm, 3, at first the people fighting down below were still unaware of a third part arriving at their location, but after hearing that demanding question, they all stopped and snickered sarcastically at the arrogant man. So another one has come to snatch the dragon girl for themselves. Mu Qing of the Grass Heaven sect says, unfortunately for you, the lass has already been taken away by the sect leader of the Sky Dragon sect. Whether she's dead or alive right now, no one knows, so quit wasting your efforts. Boom! Exploding with dangerous energy, Bai Yan's gaze turned sharp and bone-chilling. Are you saying those from the Sky Dragon sect took away Dragony against her will? That's right. Mu Qing gnashes his teeth for that answer. If you still want to go collect the dragon girl's corpse, then go look for them. The statement was definitely over the tops because anyone could tell Ling Qing Chang took the dragon away in order to tame her. So, the reasonable expectation would be that there's no way the woman would kill the naive dragon girl. But why did this leader of the Sky Moon sect say something so damning? It's out of spite. If he couldn't get his hands on something, then he won't let others get it either. Di Tsang, we're leaving. Frosty in her tone, Bai Yan didn't want to waste another second on these people. In her view, if so much as a hair were to be harmed on her adopted daughter, then they will pay with their dear lives. Hold it. The elders who came to act as backup for Ling Qing Chang's promptly attacked the family after hearing their intended purpose. Scram! Turning dangerous in the eye, Di Tsang raises a hand and fires off a blast of burning flame of purple at the pursuing group. In an instant, the elder team was incinerated, leaving nothing but a puff of smoke in their wake. Those left behind from the Sky Moon sect and Heaven Grass sect were completely shell-shocked by the picture. The only reason they told the truth regarding Ling Qing Chang taking away the dragon girl was because they wanted this family to act as a diversion. Then when the opening arises, the two would take the opportunity to leave and pursue the dragon on their own while the family stays behind to keep the elders' team company. But who could have guessed the outcome for their plan would be this magnificent? Do we even have a chance to win against such people? Many survivors thought and began to have doubts in their ability. For a time, none had wanted to speak, nor did they move those legs at all. In fact, they didn't even realize it when Bai Yan and her family had gone on their merry way due to being in their own little world. One hand holding his precious wife, the other his troublesome kid who threw a tantrum to tag along, Di Tsang moved at such razor-fast speed that the entire landscape had become a motioning blur. Sadly, despite the amazing pace they went at, there's no one left at the bottom of the mountain after they arrived. Son, call Goldie with your communication stone and ask him to seek your grandfather out. We need to know where that Sky Dragon sect is located. Furrowing her brow at the missed opportunity, Bai Yan's voice revealed a touch of killing intent. Okay, mother. The little steam bun obeys the request with glee in his voice. He's very happy to be able to help after forcing his way for the ride. A few conversing dialogues later. Mother, grandfather said as long as we keep going forward then we will find the Sky Dragon sect. Then we'll go now. Back over at the main residence, Yun Feng had just finished communicating with his daughter and grandson when he tossed the communication stone back to Goldie, the gold dragon. Making a confused face of worry, why is Yenner asking about the Sky Dragon sect? Did they offend her or something? Because of Bai Yan's urgency to find Dragony, the little steam bun had omitted the details regarding their new destination and reasoning for going. Yun Feng, did the Sky Dragon sect offend someone? It was then that Chief Wu Wei's inquiring voice cuts in from the back, causing the already perplexed man to get even more agitated. The dragon chief of the demon realm, for, towards this father of his, Yun Feng definitely held a certain level of resentment. After all, if it wasn't for this person then he wouldn't have lost his wife and missed out on the important years of his own daughter growing up. However, when he turned around to meet that deliberate flattering smile of this older man, he just couldn't help but soften into a hopeless sigh. The Sky Dragon sect offended Yenner. What did you say? The chief flies into a rage. The Sky Dragon sect offend Yenner. Who doesn't know the girl is my granddaughter? I remember we recently took one of their elders into our ranks because the guy broke into the middle level of the monarch rank. Bring him along and go see what's happening. Yun Feng stared blankly at his old man right now. He wanted to remind the person of Di Tsang and Bai Yan's strength, but against the thought of someone trying to bully his daughter. I'll take people there right away. Giving a supportive nod, I want everyone to know that Bai Yan is my granddaughter, and that no one can offend her, especially that Sky Dragon sect. But just when the chief wanted to say something else and give a few more orders, a delicate voice from the rear had caught him off guard. Grandfather, are you talking about the Sky Dragon sect? Holding a skewer of sugar dates in hand, Di Xiaowan asks with curious light in those eyes. You know about them as well? Chief Wu Wei responds with a tinge of surprise in those eyes. Not exactly, the princess shakes her head, but I do know the current dragon chief had once set up a faction here in the human world. I'm just wondering if it's the same one. Ever since Dragony's father was removed from the position of chief from his clan, the new leader of the dragons had fallen onto the shoulder of the individual called Long Tian, Dragon Sky. So, as the nosy little brat that the princess was, she's been listening in on a lot of stories after pestering the poor man, hence the knowledge about this case. Taken aback by this, Chief Wu Wei sounded almost incredulous. You mean, the Sky Dragon sect was founded by a dragon and that the human founder was nothing more than a slave to the creature? Isn't it supposed to be the other way around? Regarding that last bit, the princess nearly lost her footing and dropped the sugar dates from those hands, that's how shocked she was. The dragons have always been proud and arrogant, how can they willingly become someone's slave? Let's do this. Since the dragon chief still hasn't paid his greetings to my sister-in-law because he couldn't make it due to some delay, we can ask him when he comes. Based on the timing, the man should be arriving soon. Gobbling up the sugar dates, she wipes those lips and grinned in a silly manner. Both men exchanged a glance, their minds thinking of the same thing, the Sky Dragon sect's history is fake. Perhaps it's just a coincidence or that fate likes to play with humanity, but a loud thundering roar of a dragon suddenly rocks the entire estate and sends everyone scrambling for the outside. It's not just the main house who's been alarmed by this magnificent force either, because one could literally hear this from 1,000 miles away. As a result, those elders in closed-door training right now had all broke out of their hiding spots and searched the air for the source. The Dragon Chief of the Demon Realm, 5, have all of the elders come see me right away. Running in with haste, Leng Qing Chang's first order to her people was to summon the rest of the elder team remaining in her sect. In no time at all, a gathering within the conference hall has been arranged. Seated in the middle section, right now, I want all of you to go find a good-looking woman and catch a fox for me. I need her to pose as someone else with the name called Bai Yan. Though the group didn't quite understand their sect leader's order or why it's been demanded, but they didn't object. It's a well-known fact that this Qing Chang was a dictator and wouldn't listen to anyone. Yes, leader. Affirming with a slight bow, they all left to carry out the command. Showing a sinister grin after being left alone, Leng Qing Chang have never lost in this life. Not to mention the dragons should be submitting to my Sky Dragon sect in the first place. If only the founder is still around, then I won't even need to resort to using such means to make those lizards submit. Perhaps it's the thought of her idolized figure, but the cold look in this woman's face had gradually softened up. At this moment 2 disciples of this faction were currently moaning and groaning at the foot of the mountain after being given the order from the higher-ups. I really don't know what the sect leader is thinking. Why would she have us go look for a woman in order to pretend to be someone else? And what's with the fox too? I know. Finding a woman is easy, we can get one from a nearby village, but a fox though? Where are we supposed to find one when most have run off in the general direction of the main house from yesterday? Both youngsters sighed at their misfortune. Then just when they're about to continue in their search, a mesmerizing and gorgeous figure appears in front, causing their eyes to gawk with light. Senior Zhang, what do you think of that girl over there? Sect leader mentioned the more beautiful the better, she would be a perfect fit. How about we ask her? While the individual said it like a question, but those feet had already started to move before then. Miss, sir, please hold on a minute. At this moment Bai Yan and Di Tsang were busy rushing up the mountain path when they were stopped by the 2 youngsters. As a result, the woman's brow had furrowed into a knot at the interruption. Miss, I'll introduce myself first. I am a disciple of the Sky Dragon sect. The one on the left loudly proclaims, his face showing pride at his own background. This instantly caught the female's attention despite her initial intent to ignore these two. Sky Dragon Sect. She chuckles dangerously. Not noticing their doomed fate, the youngster continues after getting their attention, "Yes, I am a disciple of the Sky Dragon Sect. This time our leader specifically had us come down to look for a facially beautiful woman to pose as someone. And the job is simple, you only have to gain the trust of a young lass." The sole reason why they didn't bother looking within their own grounds was because of a very simple fact: Ling Chang has always been a jealous person, she would never allow anyone to be more beautiful than herself to take the limelight. Openly frowning now, "Who are you trying to pose as?" "It's a woman called Bai Yen. They're all here." One, completely baffled by what she's heard, Bai Yen shows a strange look on her face. "The Sky Dragon Sect's people want to impersonate me?" "Papa, Mama," Bai Shechen speaks while blinking innocently, "that Sky Dragon Sect should have a lot of fun things there, can we go with these big brothers?" At first she didn't quite understand what her son meant by the odd request, but then when she noticed the cunning and sly glint in the boy's pupil, she immediately knew what he wanted. Sure, Di Tsang's speed may be extremely fast and convenient, but that doesn't change the fact they're on limited time and don't know the exact location of the other side's base of operation. Now that someone's willing to lead them there, who would refuse? "Hubby," stretching that word out in the most cringeworthy manner, Bai Yen went ahead to place that arm around her man's shoulder like a happy couple. "I also heard of their name. Now that we are here anyways, why don't we go up to the mountain and have a look to grow some insight?" This immediately sent the great demon Lord numb to his knees from the jumping delight. How could he ever deny her request when she says it like that? "Okay." All smiles there when facing his wife, Di Tsang's voice was filled with affection. Towards this picture, both disciples from the Sky Dragon Sect were sneering inside after they exchanged a look. This woman really is a country bumpkin. Just hearing about our big name and she's already being moved. No matter, such a thing is more to our convenience. A humph. The one on the right wearing the blue robe warns his colleague with a cough to not say more. Later when the sect leader asks, "Tell her you're my distant relative. We did not find you here at the foot of the mountain, understand?" That little comment instantly infuriated the great demon lord's ire. However, right when the man's about to release some of that murderous aura, the woman beside him notices it and tugged at his hand to halt it. "I understand. No matter, I will get even with these people from the Sky Dragon Sect after I find Dragoni. A little more time won't make a difference." Perhaps it's because of Ling Chang's order, but the mood within this sect hasn't been very peaceful lately. "Is the little girl still making a fuss?" The sect leader asks while being served by a large number of ladies. Despite this picture that would make most men drool, it didn't. Mostly because of the mediocre faces of these females aside from one. "Leader, that dragon girl is crying out constantly, demanding to meet Bai Yen. We have only just sent our people out to find an impostor, it won't be for a while until they return." One of the disciples report in a respectful manner. It's fine, don't worry about those tantrums. There will be a time when she be repaying us her debts." It was then a man hurriedly runs into the lobby. Arching his fist, "Sect leader, one of our inner core disciples by the name of Zhang Feng has returned with good news. He claims to have met a girl with the needed requirement." Going bright in the eye, the laid-back woman promptly got up, "Get him in here." Yes, the man retreats and soon brought the mentioned youngster inside. Originally Ling Cheng was still very much being excited at the good news, but upon seeing the gorgeous-looking woman that followed suit, her hands instinctively clenched into a tight ball. She has a shallow heart, always did. So, none of the females within the Sky Dragon Sect are exceptional by any standard. Now to have her limelight stolen in open sight, it's only to be expected she be mixed inside. One for needing Bai Yen to act as the impostor, the second of wanting to kick her out immediately. But that sort of thought quickly changed after her eyes fell upon Bai Xiachen and Di Tsang. That said it all, she's completely enamored by their handsomeness. They're all here, too, just that this tyrant of a woman has been sick of the opposite after living for so many years. As such, her moment of astonishment only lasted for a brief second before returning to normal. These are, sect leader, Zhang Feng steps forward, this girl is my distant cousin, she had just arrived here today in order to visit me. I remembered leader's order and thought to bring her here for a try. Is she up to your satisfaction? Satisfaction? Of course not. She only tasked her people to find a beautiful woman, never did she say anything about finding one this gorgeous. Sect leader. Just when Ling Qingchang was being indecisive on an answer, the man from earlier who came to report had rushed back over, the dragon girl is throwing a huge tantrum and making a ruckus. At this rate the premise will be destroyed. Bring the dragon girl over then. Tell her the one she's seeking has come. The woman orders, letting the situation decide for herself. Likewise, Bai Yan had no objection to this idea. She intends to have her son take Dragony away after she comes. As for herself and Ditsang, they will be slowly going over the accounts with these people afterwards. Miss Qing Chang shifts her attention to Bai Yan, presumably my disciples here have already told you the details on what you need to do. Aside from what you're told, I also need you to persuade the dragon girl to contract with me. If you complete the task then I will have a hefty reward waiting for you. Giving a chuckle with her eyes narrowed into a slit, I know what to do. Of course I know what to do. You people cheated Dragony, then tried to impersonate me. When everything is over, I will make sure none of this remains. But, slightly frowning, a burst of doubt sprouts within Bai Yan's heart. Why is Dragony doing this? She knows how I look, so why did she have these people help her search without giving them a portrait? Good that you know it. Feeling mildly relieved, Ling Qingchang issues a long sigh. Hope today will be successful, then I can take in this dragon girl and make her mine. Soon a petite little figure had stepped through the sun-shrouded doorway of the main lobby, those eyes blinking with hopeful light. Likewise, Bai Yan had also turned around at hearing the sound of her steps, but what she saw wasn't exactly what she expected. It's not Dragony. I clearly gave her portrait to my two shifus, how can they find the wrong person? Queen. Elated in the face, the strange new girl threw herself over. Queen, these people really didn't deceive me, you are indeed here. Queen. Startled by this outburst, Ling Qingcheng suddenly found unease in the unexpected situation. This dragon girl isn't just looking for any random woman, but also a member of the dragon clan, and the queen at that. Who are you? Taking 2 steps back at the pouncing girl, Bai Yan tightly furrows her brow as she asked. If she's not Dragony then why is she looking for me? Miss Bai Yan. Snapping to attention, the mastermind of this all hurries to signal her supposed impostor. Sadly, Bai Yan acted like she didn't hear at all and continued to stare at the stranger that's clinging to her leg. Queen, it's Sister Dragony who had me come find you. The last purses her lip in a sad manner, Sister was taken away by the bad people because they wanted to catch me. Please Queen, go save Sister Dragony. They're all here. 3. Bai Yan's expression changed greatly after hearing that. Where did those people take her? They took her to the dragon clan's home. Where is the dragon's home? How do we get there? Dragony is so timid, she won't be able to help herself if anything bad happens. I must find her as soon as possible. I don't know. The little girl shakes her head with tears quickly swelling out. I don't know how to get back to my home. Originally Bai Yan was growing ever increasingly more frustrated, but against the tear-filled appearance of this one, she just couldn't do it. Sighing, son, go call Tsing Yi, I want to see her. If they want to find the home of the dragons that's living here in the Misty Fairy House, the quickest now would be to turn to another dragon. As it so happens, her azure dragon knows the way. Making a nod, Bai Xiachen did as told and pulled out the communication in his possession. After a few words, "Mother, Auntie Tsing Yi is already on her way." What the kid forgot to mention though was that it's not just one person who's coming, it's also her grandfather and his subordinates. Giving a slight nod in affirmation, "Son, take this little lady with you first." "Okay." The little steambun's first instinct was to hold on to the other girl's hand before leaving, but at the thought of the social norm of a male and female not touching, he held off on the idea. "Don't cry, my mother is here now. Your sister Dragony will be alright, so come with me while we wait." Wiping the tears from her cheek, the boy and girl quickly turned away for the doorway. Ling Qingchang could no longer keep still at this stage. Slamming her hand on the chair handle, she snaps to the one responsible for the mess, "Miss, what is the meaning of this? It's I who should be asking you what's the meaning of having me impersonate myself." "Impersonate myself?" Freezing over in the face, "What do you mean by those words?" No response came, so the woman locked onto the disciple known as Zhang Feng. "Didn't you say she's your distant cousin?" Falling to his knees at being called out, the sneaky little thing trembled with horror as he scrambled his brain for an excuse. "Explain yourself this instant. Where the hell did you find this woman?" Those nails were quite literally scraping against the brown hardwood, causing the room to screech with an irritable scratching noise. "Sect leader," the youngster could barely make out his words from all the stuttering. I met her at the foot of the mountain." "Idiot." "Pine." Sweeping everything that's on the table to the floor, Ling Qingchang roars out, "You idiotic thing, how could you not investigate the person first before bringing them inside our sect? And to have her pretend to be your distant cousin at that?" After scolding Zhang Feng with her harsh words, the enraged woman now has her attention fully locked onto Dicang and Bai Yan. Sneering sinisterly, "But you really are foolish to come in person. Do you think my Sky Dragon sect is a place where you can freely walk in and out? Now that you're here, you can all forget about leaving." Swoosh! In an instant, countless people descends from the ceiling beams to surround the couple from all sides. Yen, Dicang's gentle fingers caresses through those silken threads. "Can I do it now?" Faintly nodding, "We've found the person, so go ahead. Although this girl isn't Dragony herself, but there's something good to the success. At least we now know where her whereabouts are." Bai Yan's eye began to narrow in as her menacing anger swelled from within. "They're all here, wait for me." Dicang's kiss gently falls onto his wife's lip, thus signaling his arm to loosen around that waist and the beginning of their end. For a moment there, under that oppressive aura and overwhelming galore of dominance, none dared to move. They just stared at him and unsure what to do. "What are you all doing? Hurry and subdue him." Ling Qingchang snaps out at her people, that face showing utter dismay at the lack of compliance. To be clear, it's not that these people are unwilling to move, rather it's their legs aren't listening at all. Bang! Exploding with bloodthirst, those still struggling to lift their feet were instantly sent to the ground with blood drooling out of their mouth. Perhaps even in death, none of these poor souls would know why they've lost their lives, only that they did. Ling Qingchang completely froze over this scene. Moving her head mechanically upward to meet those murderous eyes, a gush of panic now grips that heart. You, she finally knew what fear was. In her haste, the woman attempts to retreat by crawling backwards. A&E elder from our Sky Dragon sect was recently taken in by the main house. If you make a move against me then you won't be escape death. The story went like this. When the previous head of this sect passed away, that mentioned elder wasn't around to step up to the post, hence the outcome of Ling Qingchang landing with the position. As for that senior, he continued to remain in closed-door training right up till he broke through into the monarch rank, where he was immediately snatched up by the elder council of the Misty Fairy House. Of course, the senior himself didn't object to the idea and gladly left of his own accord. So one of your elders are now part of the Misty Fairy House. Arching her brow, Bai Yen steps forward with the question, "Do call him, I would very much like to know which of those old farts are the one you've mentioned." Snickering with contempt at that proclamation, Ling Ching-chang clearly didn't believe what she's heard. "Humph, this woman makes it sound like she's seen the Elder Council before. You think getting an audience with the Elder Council is that easy? That you can do so on a whim?" Bang! But before her mocking words could be finished, a wave of energy attacks her from behind, causing that already shaken body to fly forward like a ragged doll of spraying blood. At the same time, Bai Yan's feet steps down at the woman's chest after she landed right in front of herself. "You don't seem to know the situation yet." Cocking her chin high, she smiles menacingly down at her captive. "A prisoner should act like one, and right now you're my prisoner. There's plenty of time before Tsing-Yi comes, more than enough room to get even with this one regarding her failed attempt at kidnapping the young girl who knew of Dragone's whereabout, and also for trying to impersonate me." Poof! Spitting out another mouthful of blood at the increasingly painful pressure at her chest, Ling Ching-chang was distressed to discover she's unable to resist at all with her inner strength, not even enough to raise a hand. In this instant, this woman now knows why her subordinates couldn't a thing to these two individuals. Their strength has been directly sealed away by a far more superior power. "They're all here." 5. Mildly smiling, Bai Yen increases the force in her foot. "I gave you the chance to bring him here, but since you didn't grasp onto that opportunity." It was exactly at this moment a whistling roar from the outside rocked the room, thus causing all of the remaining disciples of this sect to come running out of their residences to find what's happening. To their shocking dismay, there's a ginormous dragon floating in the air. Dragon? How could there be a dragon? It can't be. Is it because of the dragon girl? This dragon is here for its kin. Hold on, how come there's a person in the dragon's paw? That man, it looks like Elder Wu Hao. Elder Wu Hao. Picking up that name when the commotion from the outside drifted over, Ling Ching-chang's near-hopeless gaze immediately lit up. Crying out like a mad animal, "Elder Wu Hao, save me! Elder Wu Hao is here, I am saved!" But before the woman's delightful surprise could last long enough, a powerful force had come striking down and ripped the roof apart. This allows her to see firsthand what's happening outside as well. There are currently two individuals standing atop of the dragon's back. One being a handsome-looking man of middle age while the second was a young girl with an extremely beautiful pair of eyes, not in the seductive style but rather the youthful and energetic type. Of course, Ling Ching-chang didn't pay any heed to the two because her focus was stolen entirely by the elder currently being held by the dragon's claw. If only she had taken a moment to analyze the image, then the woman would have realized this was very wrong for someone coming to her rescue. Elder Wu Hao not only came back, but also with a dragon. This time I am not only saved, I can also give these bastards a good lesson. Yet. When the senior himself saw what's happening down below, the image of Bai Yen stomping down at the supposed leader of his former sect, the person himself only showed a wry smile of disappointment. "Lord Long Tian, can you let me down first?" Humph. Snorting at the request, Long Tian, dragon, showed absolute disdain towards this human. "If I wasn't in such a rush to meet Her Highness, I would never bring this trash along." Without any politeness or care, the dragon tosses the elder down from the air before eventually flying down himself. "Lord-in-law, princess, please take your time and do be careful." When facing his two riders, Long Tian, dragon chief, immediately changed his tune. There's respect and there's flattery. Even his body was groveling against the floor to make it easier for the pair to disembark. It couldn't be helped. Di Xiaowan was the princess of the demon realm while Yun Feng was Di Tsang's father-in-law. To this newly assigned chief of the dragon clan from the demon realm, it's his honor and not a disgrace. As for Wu Hao, the dragon chief thought nothing of this human and would absolutely not allow him to ride on his back. Therefore, the next best option was to take the person along by picking him up with the claw. And since the wind was so strong during the trip, mainly due to their intense speed, Wu Hao's hair was a disheveled mess. Oomph! Puking another mouthful of blood, Leng Qingchang grew all excited at the presence of her supposed savior. Elder Wu Hao, the strength of this man is somewhat unusual, you better call your dragon to work with you in order to kill him. As the sect leader of the Sky Dragon sect, Leng Qingchang's become accustomed to giving orders, so her first act was to demand the old-timer to act. Outrageous! Wu Hao snaps at the woman, you stupid wench. If I had known you would drag the Sky Dragon sect into a state of no return, then I never would have yielded the position of sect leader to you. They're all here. 6. An explosive bang rocked the woman's brain. Leng Qingchang clearly didn't get what that remark implied. In hindsight, while the two were conversing, Longtian's massive figure was now quickly shrinking from his original size through a transformation. Now standing there was a man wearing a golden robe. He looked very handsome, but compared to Di Tsang's peerless contour, he's definitely being overshadowed. I, Dragon Chief Longtian, pays greeting to my king and queen. At the word, the Dragon Chief then takes the most solemn and respectful posture he could make for a person of the court. Freezing over in the face again, Leng Qingchang's quivering tongue could barely make out her following words, what's going on, Elder Wu Hao? Isn't this dragon your familiar? Our Sky Dragon sect is known for our ability to tame dragons. Shut up. Wu Hao flies into a rage, it's all because of you, now the Sky Dragon sect will no longer exist. Everyone knows full well how much the young lord loves this newly recognized daughter of his, now for someone to offend her at such timing, there's no way the main house would forgive this place. But before the ignorant woman could figure out what's happening, or what the meaning of the elder's words were, another bombshell of a stick had come smacking down to send her over the edge. To think that just because I haven't shown myself for many years now some upstart is having the audacity to pick on my daughter. When did my name Yunfeng become so insignificant? Daughter? Yunfeng. This man is the young lord of the Misty Fairy House. But when did he have a daughter? Yener, Di Tsang, the father casts a warm look at his daughter, your grandfather has tasked me to come help you. We rushed ahead so the main group is still behind us, but if you have something to do then do go ahead. We will finish up here for you. Bai Yen nods at the generous offer and then exchanged a glance with her husband. Di Tsang, let's go first. Sister-in-law. Seeing how the couple's about to leave again, Di Xiaowan hurriedly chased over from her spot, wait for me, I also want to come. As soon as their figures were gone after disappearing in a flash of light, a raging ball of flame promptly shot down from above. In that instant, Leng Qingchang's entire existence was engulfed in flame. Awe! Despite the hair-raising scream of pain coming from inside that blazing inferno, none of the disciples dared to give a helping hand. In their minds, whatever aid they could muster paled in comparison to Elder Wu Hao's aid, and since the senior didn't move, they didn't move. Chief Longtian, Yunfeng directs his attention to the Dragon Man, you said you have some business with the Sky Dragon sect, did you not? I'll wait till you're finished before I settle my score with them. With explicit permission to do as he please, the Dragon Chief promptly shifts his sarcastic gaze across the surrounding crowd of gathered disciples. It's sharp like the needle, making those present feeling extremely uncomfortable. I've heard before that you bunch here is spreading rumors about your founder taming a dragon, hence the Sky Dragon sect name. Upon seeing the confused and clueless expressions of these people, Longtian knew the rumors surrounding the founding of this sect has been rewritten. Immediately, he bellows out a roaring laugh of irony. Good, very good. Have that bastard Mo Fei Chi come out and see me immediately. Mo Fei Chi. Elder Wu Hao popped his eyes wide, but Lord Longtian, ancestor Mo Fei Chi, he's been dead for hundreds of years. Disaster befalls the Dragon Clan. Mo Fei Chi's leg had gone numb due to the fright he felt. If not for the fact that he wants to keep up his image and not destroy it completely, he would have crashed to the ground already. Even so, the disciples could clearly see how much fear their so-called founder was holding. Lord Long Tian, I'm only kidding, please don't take it too seriously. Making a smile that's uglier than a crying chimpanzee, this monkey still didn't understand what sort of event managed to lure this being out. And like a stone being tossed into a calm lake's surface, ripples of amazement shook the crowd. Long Tian. Dragon Sky, isn't that the name of the dragon subdued by the founder back in his days? Why is he acting so fearful of his own familiar? Humph. The dragon chief huffs a grunt, his voice snarling with sarcasm. Kidding? If this was a joke, then why would the history texts be recorded like that? Kidding. To think this old fart would have the face to say that aloud. I also don't believe that this is just a careless joke. Yun Feng also decides to chime in then. There has been no less than a dozen times where I've heard the Sky Dragon sect flaunting to the outside about their history. And according to the textbooks, it specifically detailed Mo Fei Chi's grandiose venture in subduing over 1,000 dragons with his wits and then taming the leader of that pack. Longtian's complexion was growing more and more ugly by the second. Staring coldly at the monkey, no words were needed to describe the unbridled fury burning within those serpenty slits. Oh Mo Fei Chi, how come I never knew you were besieged by 1,000 dragons? More like you were delusional enough to think you can subdue a dragon and got yourself enslaved instead. And by coincidence, I ended up leaving to the demon realm and allowed you to blemish my name over the years. How are you going to pay for the damages you caused to my name? The dragon chief's voice grew increasingly more aggressive, bordering on overbearing. The monkey on the other hand was doing the contrary. Growing smaller with each word, it's almost like he couldn't even breathe at this point. Since back in the day this Sky Dragon sect was already enslaved by me, I believe there is no need to keep this place around anymore. Whisking his sleeve in a wide arc, flames began to burst from the grounds up, thus engulfing the entire estate in a sea of fire. However, I Long Tian will never kill the innocent. Aside from Mo Fei Chi and Ling Qing Chang, the rest of you are free to leave under the condition that none of you are to proclaim yourselves as the disciples of this sect. Also, if anyone asks of you about the history again, you must tell them the truth. Dragons are very prideful creatures, so there's no way he would allow false lies to continue to spread under his nose. No. The charcoal-looking Ling Qing Chang on the floor screams out, only to be sent tumbling back to the floor by the heat wave. Watching the fleeing disciples under her charge, you people can't go. Even if you do go, at least take me with you. Don't leave me behind. Unfortunately, none bothered to lend a helping hand and instead fled even faster. Finally, the only ones remaining were but a few individuals left on this estate. Aside from the two main criminals for this mess forcibly stayed by the dragon chief, there's also Elder Wu Hao who didn't move. Disaster befalls the dragon clan, too. Lord Long Tian, the monkey's face looked absolutely flustered. Over the years I have done nothing to harm the dragon race aside from taking your name for a little fun. Please, I don't deserve to die. Treat me like a fart if you must, but please release me, I beg of you. No, I have given you a chance before already and you didn't cherish it back then. Now don't blame me for what's to come. Long Tian sneered at the utter shameless appearance of his one-time servant. What's more, the one you offended today is the queen of my demons. Do you think out of personal and business reasons, I would let you go? Now prepare yourself and stop degrading what little face you have left. If not for this bastard tampering with the history of the Sky Dragon sect, then would his descendants believe they could tame us dragons? And if not for him, then would this Ling Qing Chang try to kidnap a member of the dragon race? And if not for him, would they offend Her Highness the Queen? Understanding there's no wiggle room or excuses, the monkey didn't think twice and made a hard dash for safer grounds. Sadly for him though, before he could even make it off the premise, a giant claw had come smashing down from the sky and squished him into a pancake. Based on how flat he's become, it's quite obvious he's most certainly dead and wouldn't be climbing back up. Lord-in-law, I have settled the matter here, it's time I go to the queen now. Turning around to face Bai Yan's father, this dragon chief exposes a genuine smile towards the man. Nodding in return, you go then. Very well, I will come pay another visit when there's time. Turning to leave, the dragon chief disappears in a blink of an eye over the horizon. He's been away from the misty fairy house for many years already, so Long Tian figured he should go visit his descendants now that he's returned to his birthplace. Meanwhile, back on the ground, Yun Feng himself was still floating heads over heels at what's unfolded so far. For one thing, never in his wildest dream did this man expect to be able to ride atop of a dragon, let alone get shown such high respect from one of the strongest warriors among that race as well. Young lord. Elder Wu Hao carefully arches his fist in submission, fully aware of his own awkward status. This elder's afraid the issue with the Sky Dragon sect would drag him into it as well. After all, he did hail from this power before joining the main house. If things don't turn it well, he might even get expelled from the Elder Council. Returning to attention over that call, Yun Feng soon found himself looking down at the smoldering Ling Qing Chang, who's very much incapable of getting up again lest someone tends to her burns. After today, the Sky Dragon sect no longer exists. Despite being a second-rate factionary power, in equal leagues to the mighty Demon Beast sect, it's still easily destroyed at the whim of others. Like now, they're non-existent after a single night. Done with giving his final verdict, Yun Feng figured there's no more need to stay and strolled for home. Before long, he too was gone from here, leaving only a huge burning pyre of ruins in this landscape that continued to burn for days on end before it eventually smoldered out. Disaster befalls the Dragon Clan. 3. The Dragon Clan's home of the human world lies in the northern part of the Great Ocean, where a huge mountain was submerged underwater and shielded by a spell matrix from the water. It's not that the dragons as a race feared water, they're perfected capable of living in the ocean. However, there are inconveniences that's unavoidable in that case. As such, most members of the clan preferred to stay on dry land while resting. Right now at this time, within a dark damp cave, a very lovely and delicate-looking young Missy was currently being tied to a pillar, her cute big eyes showing stubbornness and anger against the taunting woman in front of herself. Little Missy, I mean you know Malice, but my family's old man misses his granddaughter dearly. It was not easy to find her, and because of you she's now gone. You must take responsibility for that. Hanging her head in defiance, Dragony tightens her hands until it's a ball. Why are you tying me up then if you mean no ill will? Moreover, those people you sent are clearly coming with malice. I will not believe in your words. Also, you better release me, otherwise the queen won't let you off when she finds me. Snickering at the threat, the woman hooks her finger around the Missy's chin to raise her face up. Queen? You mean one of those queens from the mainland? A measly human queen can't even be compared to a little sect from the human world. Why would I fear such an entity? Little Missy, you need to stop being so naive. Among the demon race here in the human world, none would call themselves as king or queen, mainly out of tradition passed on from ages past. Taken aback by the retort, but both the queen and prince are very strong, they will definitely come and save me. Prince? The woman's grin grew even deeper. I knew it, she's talking about some human. To be fair, this wasn't because the woman had an ignorant mindset, rather it's the fact that the demon realm has been sealed for thousands of years. Considering her appearance, this lady was at best a few centuries old. Little Missy, I don't want to hurt you, but if you continue to be disobedient then I will have no choice but to kill you. Afterwards I will go find Long Dai myself. Taking out a dagger from her waist, the woman cracks a dangerous smirk as she grazed the surface of the girl's neck. Startled by this, Dragony herself was starting to fall into a panic. She's not afraid of death, but if she dies, it would mean this evil woman would start looking for Long Dai again with even more force than the first time. After some thought, she bites her lip and spoke, "What do you want me to do?" "Very simple. My old man has been yearning about his baby granddaughter for a long time now. Thankfully he's never seen that blasted girl yet. So, I want you to impersonate her. As for the ceremony to test your lineage, I will have my own means to pass that. Beaming a dangerous light in those pupils, a strong regret takes hold within this one's heart of not strangling her own niece at birth. Make no mistake, this evil woman was by every standard a dark one. She forged the baby's death in the public's eye and went through the trouble of tossing a helpless baby into the mountain range where many dangerous critters lived. What she didn't expect though was Long Dai surviving and even managed to get the attention of her old man, hence the reason why this filthy woman volunteered for the mission of retrieving Long Dai. She intends to use this opportunity to finish off the mistake she left behind years ago. Yet, the hurdles and troubles just didn't stop. Because of Dragony's sudden appearance, the target was lost and now this evil woman was left with an unknown girl that came out of nowhere. Of course, this wasn't all bad. It didn't matter who it was that she brought back, she just needed someone that she could control. And if I help you, does that mean you will leave Dai alone? Dragony asks with a hint of doubt. That's right, the woman smiles, I, Long Yu, will never go back on my words. If you do as I demand and pretend to be Dai then I won't force that lass back into Dragon Clan. Disaster befalls the Dragon Clan, for, unfortunately, Dragony didn't notice the insidious light in the woman's eye due to her own woes about Long Dai's safety, otherwise she would never waver in her decision. Gently nodding, okay, I agree only if you agree to leave Dai alone. It didn't matter to this Missy anyways. To her, this promise would only be temporary until Bai Yan comes to her rescue. But, frowning, can you tell me what is that thing you used against me from before? Originally these people wouldn't have been able to catch her, however, it was during the critical moment that this woman here with the name Long Yu pulled out something and immobilized the Mrs. body. Fine. Actually, I don't know exactly what this thing is either. It was by coincidence that I got my hands on this item. Slightly narrowing her eyes in as she held the object up to shine against the light, rumor has it that this is a treasure handed down through the Dragon Clan, a drop of essence blood. Essence blood? Widening her eyes in astonishment, Dragony showed serious doubt at Long Yu's claim. I don't know the origin of this blood either, probably something a former ancestor left behind. Can you let me see it then? After a second of hesitation, the Missy asked. Perhaps it's the successful negotiation, but Long Yu didn't hold back and fruitfully popped the cork to the bottle holding said blood. In an instant, Dragony's body had frozen over due to the emotional feeling overwhelming her heart. To be clear, it's not the sort of limitation experienced by others of lower blood, rather it's of the heart. To describe this feeling would be difficult. There's worship, respect, and perhaps fear. Regardless of the reasoning, Dragony wouldn't be able to tell why she's being so emotional in her current state. You've seen it now, so eat this pill. Without giving the Missy any chance to refuse, Long Yu promptly stuffed a round beady little thing into the girl's mouth. Are you wondering what I just fed you? I'll tell you. It's a type of poison I got from a human years ago. If you are obedient and do as I say, then I might just give you the antidote when my goal is achieved. However, if you don't obey though. Squinting her eyes dangerously, expect yourself and Long Dai's fate to be the same, and that is death. This young lass isn't as simple as her appearance implies. I must be precautious. Long Yu still hasn't forgotten their first meeting. Regardless of whichever warrior from her clan it was, they would all inexplicably fall unconscious when attacking this girl. If not for the essence blood in her possession, Long Yu too would have fallen. Dragony on the other hand didn't give much of a reaction to the open threat. In her mind, Bai Yan was omnipotent, so the poison didn't hold much meaning aside from a little inconvenience. What do you want me to do for you? Biting her lower lip, the Missy puts on a stubborn face. If you want me to hurt Dai's grandfather, then I won't agree, that's even if you poison me, I won't help. Disaster befalls the Dragon Clan. 5. Dai is my good friend, so a good friend's grandfather is also my grandfather. I cannot harm my good friend's family. Rest assured, that old man is my Shifu, so how can I bring harm to him? Twirling the strand of hair in her fingers, Lonyu makes a genuine smile of resentment. I need him to nod in agreement in making my husband the dragon chief. That Xing-Yi is already gone for 100 years, it's time someone stepped up to the plate. The position of chief has been vacant for many years, yet her Shifu continued to wait for someone that's not around anymore. For someone like Lonyu, whose husband was the closest to grasping onto that post, there's bound to be some friction brewing. After all, that old man was now the only obstacle remaining to obstruct the couple from reaching their goal, because the stamped seal has been hidden away. Even if the other elders agreed, it didn't matter without the precious item. Thinking about this, Longyu's face started to steam. That old thing would rather help outsiders than to help his own. Why must we wait for that bitch Xing-Yi to return? Everyone knows it was her who was behind that incident years ago, yet the old thing refuses to listen to reason. I am his only heir now after his son died, I deserve what he has. Grinding her teeth, the woman grew vicious. Now your job is to win his trust and to find out where he hid the stamped seal. Once I get my hands on it, then my husband can become chief, and you shall be rewarded with status and power far beyond whatever that human queen can give you. Us dragons should never submit to those useless mortals, understand? You mustn't talk bad about Her Highness. Exploding like someone that's eaten a firecracker, the queen is the nicest and kindest person in the whole wide world. It's the dragon clan who doesn't deserve to follow the queen, not the other way around. Going stiff in the face, Lonyu was very aggravated by this blatant display of defiance. If not for the usefulness of the young missy here, she would have slapped the girl across the face already. I'm only blabbering a few words of complaint, why are you so bothered by it? I won't permit anyone to insult the queen. If you say another word about her, then I won't help you. Just poison me to death if you must. The woman almost turned livid at being threatened instead. As the old saying goes, the little ones are the easiest to manipulate, however, they're also the easiest to throw a tantrum and could be quite stubborn at times. Okay, I won't talk bad about your queen anymore, is that good with you? Inhaling deeply, the woman collects her thought. Prepare yourself, I will take you to meet the old man today. Just wait until I get my hands on the stamped seal, I will deal with you then. Cutting apart the ropes binding Dragony to the rock, Lonyu gestures for them to leave the cave. Someone come. Take her to change out of these clothes, and also go inform the old man that we've found his granddaughter. Along the coastline of the northern sea, Bai Yen has her gaze fixed onto the vast body of water that's seemingly endless to the naked eye. Batty father, mother, are we not going to keep moving? Bai Shuchen's face was full of doubt as he looked up to his parents. Xing-Yi, give me the herbs my father had you bring along. Mistress, are you going to refine the medicine to heal my injuries now? Lighting up in the face, the dragoness asks with hope in the voice. I and the dragon clan here have a lot of debt to go over. Dragony is the first one, you are the second reasoning. Showing a dangerous smile that she meant business, son, take Dai with you and go find Dragony. I need to upheaval this entire North Sea, so I'll leave that task to you. Disaster befalls the dragon clan. 6. If the other side were to be humans, then Bai Yen would perhaps be worried. However, dragons are also demons at the core, meaning the effect of the boy's lineage also applies. Well, that was unless the foe started using clone substitutes, then that would be an issue. Thankfully this wouldn't be a problem, since the dragons in the human world aren't that powerful, nor do they possess the needed knowledge to perform such a skillful art. Okay, said the little steambun with the biggest grin that could come of a sly fox. Dai, come, we will go find Dragony on our own. Aha! Like a clever little girl, Long Dai followed the kid from behind despite the nervousness in her eyes. Di Tsang, turning to her husband now, refining an 8th grade Dan pill will cause an alchemic trial, I need you to help me. All smiles, the possessive man didn't miss the opportunity to use this chance to embrace his wife and to give her a peck on the cheek. I won't let any of the thunderstrikes get past me. This, Bai Yan rubs her chin like she's thinking up something evil. If you can raise up a storm with the lightning bolts, then that would be even better. And sure enough, without any deviating from the script, Di Tsang readily complied with the idea. To this great demon lord, his wife's demand was his joy. Don't worry, I'll help you. At that, Bai Yan exhales a long sigh of relief. Taking the herbs from Xing Yi's hand, she tosses her cauldron out towards the body of water. Amazingly, the thing didn't sink into the sea and instead floats steadily atop of the surface. With her strength, refining an 8th grade Dan pill wasn't an issue. She's already done that before, so it's a proven experience. The main problem lies in those thunder strikes. It's much stronger than the average type for some reason. Very soon as time ticked along, a faint fragrance could be picked up from the floating cauldron where the expected storming clouds would soon appear from. Boom! The sea grows more turbulent by the second as the raining bolts of electricity began to rain. Despite this threatening display of might from the world, a silvery and purplish figure remains unmoved standing in front of the woman. Perhaps it's the oppressive might or just the daggering eyes that could rip the sky asunder, but not even the lightning bolts dared to draw close to this man. Instead, they're all falling directly into the ocean. By this point Xing Yi could hardly keep her mouth from gawking. This dragoness knew her mistress's husband was very strong, but not to such a degree even the heavenly thunders are afraid of him. Dragon Mountain. The whole mountain range was shaking profusely under the might of the force coming down from the sky, causing the residences here to flee in panic in all direction. What's happening? Why are lightning strikes coming down at our home? We dragons have always kept to ourselves and never trespassed into the outer world. It must be that woman Xing Yi again. She must have caused this by violating the laws of the heaven. That's why these lightning bolts are hitting our home. It's punishment for her transgression. Many of the dragons grew furious at the thought. In their mind and belief, Xing Yi colluded with outsiders in order to harm their clan back then, and now she's also bringing calamity to them once again. However, maybe it's the rage and urgency of the situation, but they apparently forgot something crucial to their theory. If it's because of Xing Yi, then why would the lightning strikes hit them at the Dragon Mountain? No, something's not right about this lightning trial. One of the more senior of the dragons here stood out to speak. Frowning, this is more like a human trying to refine an 8th grade Dan pill. It's not the same. Unfamiliar teen, 1, 8th grade Dan pill. Who is so bold to try something like that within the range of our home? Let's go. I like to see who has the audacity to pull something like this near the Dragon Mountain. Another elder speaks up, his eyes glowing red from anger. It looks like just because us dragons haven't been out for so long that others are holding us in contempt. We will show that human alchemist what it means to earn the ire of those whom they shouldn't mess with. When the senior's words came out, others quickly came in support. Eventually one of them had come before the spell matrix holding up the barrier that's in charge of keeping the underwater mountain secluded from the outside world. After a few hand gestures, the barrier was released. Unbeknownst to these lizards though, right when the spell matrix was lifted, two little fellas had snuck into their home using this opening. Back over at the shoreline, the entire landscape was now searing hot under the intense heat wave created by the steaming water. And like before, Di Tsang stands ready to fend off any harm that might come his wife's way. For example, when one of the boiling bubbles popped and released a splattering burst of burning sprinkles into their path, the man immediately blocked it with a whisk of his sleeve. Argh! Suddenly, a raging howl of anger explodes from under the water, causing everyone to shift their gaze over to said patch of water. Xing Yi. When the group of dragons emerged from underneath and saw the familiar woman, their first reaction was to call out her name. You traitor, how dare you return? In light of the expressionless face she's making, the dragoness's tightly held fist said it all. For this once proud member of this clan, Tsing-yi couldn't say she's without feelings for them. However, her present loyalty lies with Bai Yen now. If there's someone she needs recognition from, then it's from her. Impudent. Goldie flies into a rage, roaring out, "How dare you speak to Mistress Tsing-yi like that?" Humph, sneering, the senior dragon leading the charge snickers derisively. It seems Tsing-yi isn't the only traitor around here. You two younglings are also part of her. There's fire in both Goldie and Silvery's eye now over that comment. Yet, when they wanted to attack, it was Tsing-yi who stopped them by holding up a hand. "Step down," she orders with a stern voice. Though unwilling, both of these young dragons would never disobey the dragoness. Returning to their original post, they acted like two guardian gods, one to the right and one to the left. "Elder Longheng, Elder Longyen, this time I returned is because the clan took away one of my mistress's people. We are here to take her back. The one she must get payback on wasn't present, so Tsing-yi didn't want to spend too much time dealing with these members of her former clan." Longheng guffawed a laugh at that. "Tsing-yi, you have already recognized a human as your liege, do you still deny being in collusion with their kind? Also, we do not have the person whom you want. If you think you can use such an excuse to get into the dragon clan to harm us again, then think again." Unfamiliar teen, too, the senior's voice was full of anger and his eyes beaming with killing intent. "Fortunately, we have already rearranged the Great Barrier around the Dragon Mountain. Even if you do want to enter, you won't be able to." Then after his proud speech, Longheng shifts his attention to Ditsang and Bai Yen. "Since the two of you have the nerve to come make trouble for us dragons, then you don't need to leave either." Originally Ditsang wouldn't have bothered to instill his ire upon some clowns, but this was his wife they're talking about. That's a huge taboo in front of this great demon lord. Turning to face these couple of old seniors, the man's gaze was overbearing and horrific upon contact. Pretty much it's chilling to the bone, like he's death incarnate itself. For the two leading seniors like Longheng and Longyen, they both gasped at the incredible level of pressure coming their way. As for the other followers that joined in on this witch hunt, they weren't so fortunate. As weaker beings compared to the two, they couldn't resist that intense aura and promptly collapsed to the ground like someone just swatted them to the floor. "If you won't let me and my queen leave, then as the king, it's only proper I comply with those beneath myself. Now I won't leave even if you beg me to go." "You," Longheng shuddered, his eyes looking up in horror. "This man, he's not human. What's more, his identity within the ranks of the demons must be extremely high, otherwise why would his bloodline pressuring be so strong?" "You are, from the demon realm?" As one of the oldest ones here, Longyen did have some more insight regarding the other realms. "What?" Longheng exclaims over his partner's words, "He's from the demon realm? Impossible, why would someone like that appear here of all places? And how did he get involved with Tsing-yi, that traitor?" Emotionless in his face still, "I did not intend to meddle with the affairs of this dragon clan, nor do I care. However, Tsing-yi is my queen's people, and she has some business to settle with you lot." King. Queen. Everyone, including those clueless to Ditsang's identity, was shaking tremendously, one for his immense power and the others for his status. Others may not know this, but the two leading dragons here definitely did. No one within the demon race was permitted to proclaim themselves as king or queen, the only exception being the royal family currently residing in the demon realm. Finally, it was then a faint voice rang out from the side. Showing a satisfied smile, Bai Yen removes the lid from her cauldron and tosses the precious pill over to Tsing-yi. "Eat this now and activate your energy to circulate the effects across your entire body. It will slowly help you heal those injuries." "Thank you, mistress." Taking the medicine with elation in her voice, Mistress, shouldn't we go search for your people first?" "I can take this medicine later if we need to." "That's not a problem, Xiachen will be able to locate Dragony on his own." Arching a brow, "And, the sooner you take this medicine the better." The effects will be more prominent this way. Xing Yi didn't hesitate any longer after hearing those words. Crossing her legs, the dragoness's aching body gradually began to recover. Unfamiliar teen, 3, Yen Yen, what do you want me to do with these people? Raising a seductive smirk, Di Tsang once again wounds that perverted hand around his wife's waist with a good part of it touching her butt. I want to know what happened back then. Who is it that framed Xing Yi as a traitor? All cold in her face, Bai Yen asks. Long Heng shuddered again at the eye contact. Us dragons didn't frame Xing Yi, she colluded with the human and wanted to betray the clan. Is that so? Then I want to ask, did your people suffer any harm so far? Then how about the evidence? Did you witness firsthand Xing Yi conspiring with another to harm the clan? The dragons were all quiet at this point. They couldn't argue with Bai Yan's logic. Xing Yi never harmed any of the other dragons like she said, nor did the woman show any signs of plotting something devious. Just that, the relationship between the mentioned human was far too close to her for being mere acquaintances, hence their skeptical belief. To be perfectly honest, not even these dragons here knew why they're acting this way aside from their inherent dislike of humankind. Hubby, Bai Yen makes an unreadable smile at her man. How come I didn't know us humans have such a notorious reputation among the demon race? By merely being in contact with one is considered a traitor? If that's so, you marrying me is equivalent to betraying the entire demon realm, is that not so? Originally the great demon lord was heads over heels at being addressed in that manner, but at hearing the dangerous implication of his wife's words, he immediately grew stiff and used his killing aura to cover the entire group of impudent lizards. Who would dare? The entire demon realm is yours, so that doesn't stand. Under that intense stare, Long Heng could literally feel his hair raising up from his skin. As a result, this old dragon didn't even want to meet that gaze and hung his head as low as possible in order to reduce his own existence. Long Yen on the other hand wanted to explain some more, unfortunately for them though, right before he could utter a single word, a loud whistling sound cuts him off and out came a booming figure of a golden dragon quickly closing in the distance from afar. This creature was very large, much larger than any of the dragons here. And when he arrived to transform into his human form, the man promptly got onto his knees to pay respect to Di Tsang. King, Queen, your loyal retainer Long Tian is here to pay his utmost respect and to report that the matter with the Sky Dragon sect is now resolved. The two elders of the dragon clan started to stare wide-eyed at each other. There's shock, but mostly it's disbelief at who they're seeing. Ancestor Long Tian. Didn't Ancestor Long Tian go to the demon realm? How come he's back here in the human world? And he's so respectful to them. It can't be, these two are really royalty from the demon realm. All of you've got some guts now, to think you bunch would start taking the queen's people when I'm not around. Sneering in his face, Long Tian scans the group that's either sprawling on the shore or in the water. Wiping some of that sweat, Long Heng wanted to explain, but we haven't taken anyone. It's been many years since we went outside. The queen's people aren't human, she's a dragon like us called Dragony. If you really did take her 10, bring her out immediately. Dragony? Both elders exchanged a look, their voices spluttering. Ancestor, the clan doesn't have anyone by that name, you sure, you're not mistaken? Long Tian. Just when the dragon chief wanted to continue his reprimanding words, Bai Yen has had enough and decides to join in. Leave them be, my son will find Dragony. When Xing Yi's injury is healed and the kid's back here with us, I will personally go over the accounts with these dragons. Unfamiliar teen, 4, Bai Yen doesn't care whether or not these people were blindsided by the mastermind behind Xing Yi's bad name, nor does she care if they know where Dragony was right now. All she knows was that they won't get away for what they've done so far. Dragon Valley. Right at this time a small little head was sneakily scurrying about behind the rocks, only by seeing there's no other people around did he wave at the girl behind himself to come over. Die, hurry and keep up with me. Giving a clever nod in response, the little lady hurries to skimp over while keeping a tense awareness of her surroundings. But Prince, puckering her lips, Long Dai appears troubled by their behavior. Didn't the queen mention that you're able to make all demons surrender under your bloodline? Why do we have to hide like this? Stupid. The little steam bun shoots an exasperated stare at the girl. Dragony is in their hands. What if they use her to threaten me before I can save her? First we must rescue her, only then can I feel at ease. Bloodline pressuring could most certainly halt the actions of other demons, but that method would never be able to make the other side willingly submit. In that case, his best choice would be to secure the hostage before letting loose. Careful. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps could be heard coming from the side, causing the little steam bun to grub onto the girl's shoulder and drag her back behind the rocks. This time Miss Longyu has done a great achievement, to think she would be able to locate the first elder's long-lost granddaughter. Ever since the elder's son and daughter-in-law passed away, the child's been the elder's only concern. One of the two ladies coming over says, totally unaware of the fact that there's two snooping kids right around the corner. I know, right? If I remember correctly, the granddaughter is called Long Dai. Because of her, Miss Longyu is now back in favor after almost losing it entirely before the elder's presence. Long Dai. Bai Xiaochen became stunned by the name. Pausing to think it through, the boy blankly turns to the little lady beside himself. Likewise, the girl herself was also in a stunned state. But I am Long Dai. How come the Dragon Clan also have a Long Dai? Musing over what to say next, do you know why those people wanted to find you in the first place? I don't know. She shakes her head like a rocking drum. It was Sister Dragony who saved me, then she gotten taken away by those bad people. This news immediately caused the little steam bun to light up in the eyes. I understand then. Dai, can you do me a favor? Having said that, Bai Xiaochen then whispered something into the girl's ear. Nodding hard in return, Long Dai immediately stood up from behind the rock and chased after the two ladies who's now walked past them. Right away, the girl pretends to have accidentally crashed into one of the females. The maid in pink swings around angrily after being attacked. To her surprise, despite the initial urge to yell out in curses, an adorable-looking pair of eyes had met her own, causing that heart to melt away. I am sorry. Long Dai timidly lowers her head in apology. I didn't mean to. Collecting herself, the maid in pink quickly changes her tune at this picture. Little girl, whose child are you? Don't you know it's reckless to run around like this? Pursing her lip in a pitiful manner, I heard the first elder's granddaughter has been found, so I got curious and wanted to come see. But when I came around here, I realized I forgot the way to the elder's courtyard. Big sister, can you tell me how to get there? Unfamiliar teen. 5, the maid in pink breaks out into laughter at the frank answer. There aren't as many rules within the dragon race, so she readily pointed in the needed direction. From here, go forward 300 meters, afterwards turn right and you will find the first elder's courtyard. But whether or not the elder will see you is his choice, little girl. I won't be able to help you there. Thank you, sister. Showing a sweet innocent smile, Long Dai shot a glance back to the rock behind herself before seemingly running off in the referred direction. After the two ladies left, Bai Xiaochen figured it safe now and came out as well. He didn't waste any time and chased after his friend that went ahead. Back over in the first elder's courtyard, a big gathering was taking place, many showing heartfelt smiles or making flattering congratulatory messages. Congratulations to First Elder, you've finally found your granddaughter. In particular is how beautiful this Dai is. She will certainly become the #1 beauty of our clan when she comes of age. Compared to Tsing Yi from 100 years ago, she will surpass her and more. In the face of all those compliments, the First Elder only retained a blooming smile on his wrinkly old face. It's been hard you, the senior turns to his disciple, if not for you, I fear me and Dai would never be able to meet in this life. Returning a shallow smile of her own, the wretched Long Yu had no shame in what she said in return, "Oh Shifu, for you, I will go through a mountain of knives and walk through fire if I have to. I know you have some misconceptions of me before, but now I've thought it through. From now on I will listen to Shifu's word." Hearing the kidnapping woman's lies and deceits, the first elder definitely relaxed somewhat inwardly. Perhaps I really misunderstood her. First elder, you really took a wonderful disciple. I heard in order for Long Yu to find your granddaughter, she had to fend off multiple powerful humans during the rescue effort and even nearly lost her life in the process. Where would one find another wonderful apprentice like so? Of course, these flattering words and stories were spread by Long Yu herself, there's not an ounce of truth in them. Nevertheless, it doesn't change the fact that the shameless woman was delighted to hear it in earshot because it shows how trustworthy she was in front of the old man she's trying to sweeten up for the upcoming scheme. Compared with the lively scene out here though, Dragoni on the other hand didn't show herself and kept to her room after meeting the first elder. Perhaps it's the part of herself that didn't know how to confront Dai's grandfather, but the Missy felt wrong seeing the senior using her friend's identity. Who? It was then a sudden noise from the outside causes her to jerk up in alarm. Who is outside the door? Creak. Following the opening of the door, an unfamiliar teenager walks in. Fair-skinned with a thin eyebrow, this young man wasn't gorgeously handsome by any means, yet he's still quite the looker for his standard. You're not a dragon, who are you? Dragony frowns and asked with intrigue. I'm here to take you away, the boy's voice was crisp and sound. Take me away. Blinking her big blue eyes in confusion, Dragony eyes the human teenager with curiosity. Why would you take me away? I know you are not Long Dai, but rather a stranger kidnapped by Long Yu. I don't care what sort of backgrounds you have, nor does it matter to me. I only want to go against that Long Yu. A flash of rage flickers with the youngster's eye. I've been lurking here in the dragon's home for over a century. Now that I've gathered enough evidence, it won't be long before I confront her. Until then, I will send you away first. Unfamiliar teen, 6, I won't go, someone will come save me. Dai should have informed her highness by now. What if she comes after I leave? Besides, I won't be in any danger for now while staying in this place. Why should I follow a stranger and leave? Are you stupid? The teenager huffs and puffs. This dragon mountain is underwater and sealed within a barrier. Who is going to come save you? Swinging her head to one side, the Missy gets stubborn with those puckering lips. She is very strong, so I'm going to wait for her to come find me. How can you be so stubborn? The youngster stomps his feet in frustration. What I'm going to do next is to expose you as a fraud and not the first elder's granddaughter. Do you think the dragons here are going to let you go afterwards? He doesn't want to involve the innocent, that's why he's here to bring the Missy away before it's too late. What he didn't expect though was the stubborn nature of this lady. Hey, Dragony suddenly turns back to the teen with curiosity. Little brother, can you tell me why you want to deal with the dragon clan here? Do you have some sort of grudge against them? Taken aback by the sudden change of topic, the teenager lowers his head in contemplation. Moments later, he quietly mutters the answer. Truth is, I'm waiting for someone. Is it little brother's lover? No, the teenager shakes his head in denial. She's a good friend of mine. Back then we would talk about anything and traveled the world in good company. Then one day one of the dragons here framed her, saying she colluded with me and intended to plot against the dragon clan. How ridiculous, I never wanted to harm them or anyone for that matter. In the end, those old bastards believed those lies and betrayed my friend. They wanted to kill her. Slowly closing his eyes, the teenager revealed the sort of long-standing pain that could only come of someone whom lost an important friend. I want to avenge her, make those people who hurt her pay the price and to make those old bastards regret what they done. Showing a razor-sharp glare upon opening his eyes again, this man intends to see through his resolve to the end. That person, are they related to Longyu? Pursing her pink little lips, Dragony asks inquisitively. Yes, it's Longyu and her husband who framed her. Their aim is to kill her and then take over the position as the chief. The teenager's face grew cold and seething. So, can you leave this place now? I don't want to hurt any innocent in my plan. This lass is also a pitiful being. First she was kidnapped by Longyu here, then she was forced to take up another's identity. The least I should do for someone like this is to get her out of here before things blow up. In light of the good reasoning, Dragony remains stubborn in that shaking head. I won't go. Little brother, you don't have to worry about me, Her Highness will come for me and she can also help you. The teenager makes an impatient frown. Do you not understand my words? No one can come here to the Dragon Mountain. How are they supposed to save you when they're unable to come? If you want to live, then the only way is to leave. That won't be. Her Highness is the greatest, there's nothing she can't do in this world. Sparkling with light in those eyes, Dragony showed worship when thinking of Bai Yan's face. This immediately causes the teen to deepen that frown until it's bordering on the level of anger. Slowly coming forward, if you won't listen to reason, then I can only do this. Forgive me. Right when that hand was about to strike down at the girl's neck to knock her out, a loud bang from behind blows the door open. Immediately, a childish and angry voice cuts in to bring them to attention. Stop it. What are you planning to do to Dragony? Pine. And before any reaction or explanation could be given, a brick had come flying over from the door and landing directly onto the teen's forehead like a missile. This promptly left a gash on that head and a long line of blood trickling downward. Bai Xiaoqin's here. Prince. Watching that little boy wearing the purple brocaded robe, Dragony could no longer hold back her emotions and threw herself into those arms. Your Highness, I knew you would come save me, I just knew it. Those bad people bullied me. Wohu. Despite the strong front this little missy was trying to portray, she soon fell into a sobbing fit after not finding Bai Yan's presence. Where's Her Highness the Queen? Bai Xiaoqin had never been very good with the opposite sex's tear. Instead of reprimanding the girl like he initially wanted to do, he started to flail his hands around wildly in the air because he was failing miserably at comforting this lass. Don't cry anymore, my mother has something to deal with, so she'll be running late. Come with me, we're leaving now. Taking Dragony's hand, the little steambun forcibly heads for the door without giving anyone a chance to refute his decision. Perhaps it's the fact that there's someone she knows here now, or it's just that the other person was Bai Xiaoqin, but the missy was no longer acting wayward or stubborn like earlier. Now, there's only a well-behaved little girl following orders, a sharp contrast to her usual behavior. Meanwhile in the back, the teenager was gawking his eyes out at this picture to the point where he's forgotten the pain on his forehead. How come this lass wasn't this timid and well-behaved when I was talking to her? Wait a minute. Suddenly realizing what they're doing, the teen hurries to stop them. Meeting the teen's gaze after turning around, Bai Xiaoqin was the first to speak. What do you want? If you are planning to bully Dragony again, then think again. No, the teen shakes his head. I don't know how you slipped in here, but it's not that simple for you to leave. Don't worry though, I have a way to get all of you out of here without being detected. Puckering his lip to one side like an adult, the little steambun clearly didn't believe that. Mother said nothing is ever free in this world, especially the kind that comes out of nowhere. We are not related or anything, why should I believe you? The teen became gobsmacked by this retort. He never thought this kid would be even more difficult to work with than the girl. What's more, Bai Xiaoqin shows off a brilliant smile that only got improved by his innocent yet dazzling grin. When did I say I want to sneak out of the Dragon Clan's home? Dismayed by the comment, the teen didn't know what to make of this. If this kid isn't here to take the girl away, then what is he doing here for? You didn't come to save her. He points his finger in a dumbfounded manner at the girl before turning it back to the kid in an accusing manner. I did come to save Dragony, the little steam bun raises his hand and the girl's up to show they're together. However, she's been wronged by these lizards, so I will get them back for her. When the boy made that claim, there's a beam of conviction that suddenly surfaced and blinded the teen's perception of what a young child should be. Even so, the stranger still wasn't convinced and wanted to grab onto the kid's shoulder to stop him. "Little guy, don't be impulsive, these dragons are all very powerful. With your meager strength, you won't be able to deal with them." He honestly didn't want to see a young child running off to certain doom. But before anything could be done, Bai Xiachen had already run out of the room with the girl in tow. "Dragony, you wait here for me with Dai Dai." Despite his young age, the kid was already showing the dominance of what's needed to be a true king like his old man. Releasing a strangely intense aura that felt threatening while also weak at the same time, "All of you lizards living here in the Dragon Mountain, get your butts out here this instant." Back over in the rear, the teen was nearly in tears due to the audacity of the boy. He could barely keep his legs straight at the moment. How can this kid do something so crazy? He's summoning everyone here at once. The essence blood of the ancient dragon, 1. At this moment inside the courtyard, the first elder was currently combing through that beard with his hand as he scanned the guests in front of himself. This time it really is thanks to you, but if you want to let your husband Xiang Luo become the chief, I'm afraid that won't do. I must wait for Tsing Yi to come back. I must hear her explanation in person." Back then when Tsing Yi was being called out as a traitor, he himself had been in closed-door training. Therefore, by the time he came out and realized what's happened, it's too late to change anything. But that doesn't mean he's willing to believe everything the others has to say about the woman. He's the first elder and he has a duty to listen to the whole story, regardless of what others thought. Until then the position as chief will stay empty. Despite the inner anger swelling up like a volcano, Long Yu kept her smile intact aside from growing slightly stiff in the face. "Shifu, I understand." "It's good that you understand." The first elder sighs in relief. For this disciple of his, he still holds some hope and many feelings. As such, he couldn't just allow her to take the wrong path without so much as trying to correct her. Suddenly, a childish and dominating voice echoes through the air, pulling all of these guests to attention. "All of you lizards living here in the Dragon Mountain, get your butts out here this instant." Due to this shout, the entire courtyard had fallen into a deadly silence. Eventually the more senior dragons had come back to their senses from the initial shock. Roaring out, "Who dares to come make trouble at the dragon's home? Their clan has settled here in the North Sea for over 1,000 years, this would be the first time someone has the audacity to openly provoke them at the Dragon Mountain." "No wait, why do I feel like this voice is coming out from Miss Dai Dai's room?" "First elder, it can't be, did something happen to her?" "Wah!" In his frantic response, the first elder nearly fell to the floor after losing his balance. If not for the chair handle nearby, he wouldn't even be able to get back up. Nevertheless, the frightening white on his old wrinkly face indicated how much panic he truly felt at the forethought of losing said granddaughter. "Someone come, hurry and follow me to protect Dai Dai." His son and daughter had died several years ago due to some unexpected circumstances. Now the only reason he's even willing to continue living was this grandchild of his after learning of her existence through some coincidental means. While the elder and his men's running steps went at a fast pace, Long Yu on the other hand didn't move as swift. In fact, her eyes showed a frosty glint while following slowly from behind. Xiang Luo had come beside his wife without anyone noticing. Showing a dark expression, "Are you sure that girl you brought back is going to be fine? Did you investigate her background and made sure she doesn't have backing?" Long Yu makes a snickering click at her husband's cowardice. Nothing but a dragon who surrendered under a human's will, what sort of backing could she possibly have? Humans? Xiang Luo asks with an open frown. That's right. The woman is only a concubine of some royal palace, an existence even lower than those third-rate factions in the human world. Compared to our clan, they can't even be called adversary. Then I can rest at ease. The man exhales a sigh before making an approving smile at his wife. Back then it was not easy to drive away that Tsing Yi. I don't want to have any unexpected changes during this crucial timing. It's good that you didn't bring back the real Dai Dai, otherwise who knows if things would get out of our hands or not. The essence blood of the ancient dragon. 2. Longyu did not give a response to her husband's word. Instead, she raises a smirk and headed in the direction of everyone else. Due to the depths of the ocean water, there aren't much light capable of penetrating down underneath. Even so, there's just enough of the sun's ray to glisten off of Bai Shuchen's cute little face when he's sitting down. Little guy, are you really not wanting to live? The teenager eventually came back to his senses due to being overwhelmed by the kid's audacity. Sweating and growing more anxious at the eagerly sound of incoming footsteps, you three run first when they come, I will come up with an idea and stall them here. Blinking his big blue eyes, Bai Shuchen turns around in great surprise by what he's heard. Why are you helping us? The teen makes a bitter smile. I have a vendetta with the dragons here, and this little lass was forcibly brought here by them. Even if it's only to ruin Longyu's plan, I will still save her. This time the little steambun didn't speak, a rare thing considering his character, and instead leaned that chin against his hand in contemplation. Clack clack clack. Very soon, a group of people, both elderly and young, had come running over. Dai Dai. The first elder went ghostly white at the sight of Dragony holding hands with the strange boy. Hurry Dai Dai, come over to Grandpa's side. Rather than obeying, Dragony shook her head and remained firm to the spot. I am not Long Dai Dai. What did you say? The senior turned stiff at the answer, his face showing an ugly expression like he's going to faint or throw up. Dai Dai, please don't scare your grandpa here. Come to my side so I can protect you. Good grandfather, I am really not your granddaughter. Pulling the younger lass behind herself out to show everyone, Dragony intends to let them all see who's the true one. My name is Dragony and my friend here is the real Long Dai Dai. Earlier when we were doing the blood test to check on my lineage, Longyu had swapped out Dai Dai's blood during the procedure, that's why it came out positive. Shuddering at this revelation, the first elder then shifts his attention over to the indicated lass. In that instant, his pupils dilated inwards due to the shock of what he saw. Clothes, they look so much alike. The little girl and my daughter-in-law look too much alike. Dai. Dai Dai. Are you Dai Dai? The senior's voice sounded shaky like he couldn't believe reality. Stumbling forward, the first elder wanted to get closer so he could give the one a hug. Perhaps the situation was too sudden, or perhaps the girl's personality simply fell into the timid side, but Long Dai Dai didn't meet what her grandfather wanted and instead scurried right behind Dragony in order to hide herself. I never had a name before. Peering part of her head out, there's a hint of hope and curiosity in the little girl's eye, but not long ago a bad woman wanted to catch me. She called me Long Dai Dai, that's how I came to know my name. I also grew up without family. Are you my grandfather? Bursting out into tears at this point, the first elder felt like someone's ripped out his heart at knowing his poor grandchild's been all alone through the years. Good child, I'm your grandfather, I'm so sorry I haven't found you sooner. And I'm so sorry for not recognizing you immediately. To think my foolish self could mistake someone else for you. Anne. Longyu. Suddenly, a burst of anger erupts out of the senior's heart after remembering who's the main cause for this mess. Literally spewing flames in his eyes, Longyu, get over here this instant. The wretched woman and her husband had just arrived outside the place when she overheard this enraged voice in the air. Though slightly unsettled inside, Longyu still passed through the gathered crowd to come before her mentor. The essence blood of the ancient dragon. 3. Longyu didn't take much effort to notice Long Dai Dai, who was hiding behind Dragony's back after she arrived. Gritting her teeth, you. How come you are here? Didn't I tell you you're not the one our clan is looking for? Why do you keep insisting you are the one? Our Dai is right here, so you should leave before you get yourself in further trouble. At that, the wretched woman then turns back to her mentor. Shifu, this lass is delusional. She kept trying to impersonate your granddaughter when I was out for my mission, all so she could become someone important. Unfortunately, the first elder apparently didn't buy the story. Following each word that came out, his complexion sank darker and darker until none of the dragons present dared to make a peep. Even so, Longyu had confidence in her story because she's poisoned Dragony with her pill already. In this woman's mindset, there's none who wouldn't be afraid of death. Yet in spite of all these beneficial conditions, Dragony didn't care when she was given the eye signal to back up the lies. Prince, that evil woman is glaring at me. Moving behind the little steambun's side, the Missy's action told everyone the truth. Don't be afraid, rubbing the girl's hair like he's the big adult, I'll help you glare back at her later. Although Dragony is a little slow sometimes, but no one can scold her aside from me. Longyu was flabbergasted by this. How can this little wench act stupid at a time like this? Shifu, wanting to defend herself some more, what came next completely stunned the woman. It's a slap, and it went straight for her face, causing a red swollen bruise to come out in the aftermath. Widening her eyes in disbelief, Longyu turns to face the exasperated senior with her sobbing face. Shifu, please listen to me, I really did bring back your granddaughter. This one really is a fake. Ho ho. The first elder sniggers ironically at her. Even this girl herself is denying it. Do you still want to keep insisting on that claim? This time Longyu was truly lost on what to say. She actually openly denied her identity. Is she asking to die or something? Die, don't you be afraid. The first elder looks at his real granddaughter with the kindest face ever instead of the infuriated one he showed his student. Tell grandfather here what happened. But rather than responding to that, Long Dai consciously looks up to Dragony instead for help. Dai doesn't know what's happening, so I will explain. Bringing her head out from Bai Xiaoqin's back, the Missy takes the stage. This evil woman and her gang of thugs came to make trouble for Dai a while back. I thought they wanted to kill her, so I helped her escape. In the end I was captured by them. Afterward she asked me to impersonate Dai. I refused, so she used Dai's safety to threaten me, saying she will kill her, and then fed me some sort of poison as precaution. Poison? A flaring anger erupts out of the little steambun's face at the news. Dragony, this evil woman forced you to take a poison? Donning a brilliant smile at the added attention, I'm not afraid, Prince, Her Highness the Queen will surely come save me and cure the poison. She promised to stay here out of care for Dai. As for the poison, this Missy didn't worry one bit. The essence blood of the ancient dragon, and, ignoring Longyu's ugly expression, Dragony bears her two tiny fangs. That bad woman had me impersonate Dai because she wanted me to find that whatever seal so her husband can become the next chief head. Also, she had more than once scolded this old grandfather here, calling him an old bastard that only knows how to help outsiders instead of his loved ones. One hand pointing at the woman, the other holding his heart, the first elder trembled profusely. You. This traitorous thing. Traitor. Based on that gasping and huffing for air motion, the old elder clearly didn't take this well. All pale by now, Longyu bites her lower lip like she's been wronged. Shifu, this is all a hoax, I've been framed. I know now, this girl deliberately came and told me she's Long Dai, the purpose is to frame me. Shifu, you know me better than anyone, would never do something like this. At the end of the day not even this wretched woman could remain unfazed while being cornered. In her haste, she began to bang her head against the floor in a kowtowing gesture. As for her own husband whom she's been trying so hard to support, that bastard Xiang Luo just stood on the sidelines as if nothing was happening. One bang against the floor. Two bang against the floor. 3 bang against the floor. Eventually that forehead had become a purple bruise with no pity from anyone. Towards this level of indifference, Longyu revealed a ray of pain on her face. Shifu, are you really going to believe these outsiders than your own disciple? Dai Dai isn't an outsider, he snaps at that inappropriate comment. Taking in a deep breath, the first elder's complexion finally returns to normal. She is my only family. Only family? Closing her eyes, a look of immense pain grips the wretched woman who's still refusing to give up. Laughing out, if she's your family then what am I? What am I to you? This time she didn't get to wait for the senior's reply, instead another voice from the front had answered it for her. You're the murderer who killed his son and daughter-in-law. Now everyone's attention had shifted to the teen leaning against the doorframe. What did you just say? The first elder shoots a death glare over to the teen, his voice radiating murderous intent. Repeat what you just said to me. Longyu recognizes this person after seeing that face and knew this might spell the end of herself. Showing extreme panic, she yells out to stop further discussion, you shut up. You're the one who colluded with Tsing-Yi back then and now you want to murder our clan by spelling out lies and deceit. Don't think for a second anyone here will listen to you. What point is there in wasting more words on such people? The husband Xiang Luo beams out a frosty glint, just kill him and it will be fine. Perhaps it's the human's confident attitude, but this cold heartless man didn't feel good at what's to come. There's an ominous sensation quickly budding within his heart, causing that face to go all gloomy and dark. Bai Xiachen on the other hand had a different reaction after hearing who this teen was. There's shock and disbelief. This guy, he's the human teenager Tsing-Yi mentioned before. No wonder he hates Longyu and the dragon clan here so much, he's her acquaintance. The teen didn't notice the strange expression coming off of the steambun's face and continued with his speech, whether or not I'm spouting nonsense is not important. Once I show the evidence then everything will be cleared. Shut up. Turning her shame to bitter anger, Longyu has had it and wanted to attack. Unfortunately for her though, the first elder got in her way before that could take place. The essence blood of the ancient dragon. 5. I want to see what sort of evidence he can produce. Until then, no one can touch him. After that order, the rest who were foolishly wanting to attack were stopped in their tracks, their eyes angry and fuming. At first they didn't recognize the teenager that they'd been ignoring until now, but after hearing Longyu's outcry they most certainly do now. They haven't forgotten about the reason why Tsing-Yi betrayed them and it was all caused by this person who seduced the proud woman. This was especially true for the younger male generation here because the woman was considered the most beautiful among their age group and was highly sought after. That year, the young man's gaze fell upon the elder's shaky appearance. Your son Long Shi and his wife stumbled upon a ruin. Through their investigation and deciphering of the hieroglyphs left behind on the walls, they realized there's a drop of essence blood hidden there from an ancient dragon. Whoever possesses it will rule the dragons, that's the prophecy described by the ruins. Afterwards, maybe it was coincidence or pre-planned, but Longyu too had somehow managed to learn of this matter and proposed to accompany the couple with her own husband Xiang Luo. The young man's face hung a ridiculing look when he turned to face the woman in question. Sure enough, there's fire spewing out of Longyu's face. It's a pity but Long Shi trusted this traitorous woman too much. In the end, not only did your son and his wife lose their lives at the hand of this backstabber, the essence blood had also fallen into their hands as a result. You're talking nonsense. Baring her teeth in utter rage, do you have any proof that I killed him? The teen sneered in return. Long Shi is a very talented and powerful member of the dragon clan, second only to Tsing-Yi. Do you think he wouldn't leave behind a precautionary measure when he realized you betrayed them? It took me years though, but I finally managed to find out where the 4 of you went back then, and guess what? I found a wisp of his soul inside the ruins. That story instantly causes Longyu to gawk in horror at the hated teen. No, impossible. I've long destroyed Long Shi's soul when I killed him, how can he leave behind a wisp of his soul? This person must be trying to provoke me into making a mistake, that must be it. You say you have a wisp of Long Shi's soul. Fine, take it out and let everyone see then. Grinding her teeth, Long Yu asks. For a moment, all eyes had fallen onto the teen's face. Sighing at the attention, this Long Yu is really seeking her own death. Alright, there's no reason why I shouldn't oblige her. Not bothering to waste any more words now that it has come to this, the teen raises up one of his ring thumb fingers to rub against the item. In no time at all, a transparent entity emerges from within. This was a handsome-looking man that held strong similarities to Long Dai Dai, which immediately causes the first elder to shake with sorrowful sadness at the sight. Son. There's immense emotion mixed into that word, and it also showed the infinite pain of a father that has lost their son. Others were also stunned by this scene. The reason being that the one floating before their eyes was exactly like the teen explained, the second most talented member of their clan who passed away several years ago, Long Shi. Shi'er, my son. The old grandfather wanted to reach out to touch his precious son. Unfortunately for this senior though, his fingers didn't make contact with anything, only passing through the air despite the ethereal existence of his son being right in front of his eyes. Father, Long Shi takes to his knees using the utmost solemn manner while keeping an equally sorrowful voice. I've been unfilial for not being able to accompany you any longer. It was my mistake for going after that ancient dragon's essence blood and allowed Long Yu to backstab me at the crucial moment. Thankfully I was able to leave behind a precautionary measure prior to heading into that ruin. Now I can finally tell the world of her evil deeds and character. The essence blood of the ancient dragon, 6, boom. Long Yu's state of mind had long fallen into a blank slate when Long Shi appeared before everyone, but now for the truth to come out, her face became desperate and white. It's over this time, I'm done for. Shifu, snapping out in frustrated coldness, we can't believe what he says. Just because he says he's Long Shi doesn't mean anything. I say he's Tsing Yi's scheme of destroying our unity, how about that? Shut up. Red in the eye, the first elder radiated intense killing intent. You think I can't recognize my own son? How dare you and your husband harm my son, unforgivable. Father, Long Shi's soul speaks again after landing those ghostly eyes upon his murderer. Before I died, Long Yu confessed another matter to me as a way to gloat. The reason why Dai Dai disappeared was because of her. She did it out of spite because you wouldn't give her the chief's seal, she wanted to spite you and make you grieve. For a simple reason like that, this wretched woman would throw a newborn baby into the mountains. If Dai Dai didn't have luck on her side and somehow survived, then who knows what would have happened to the girl. Long Yu had her eyes closed now, not in regret for the crimes in which she's committed though, but rather for not strangling Dai Dai back then. To think my momentary softness would come back and haunt me like this today. Humph, not going to continue the defensive lies anymore now that the situation has devolved into this, the husband Xiang Luo sneers with contempt at everyone. Since you all know, then there's no need to hide anymore. You think I'm afraid of you or something, old fart? Take out the essence blood. The wife stares in shock at her man. Xiang Luo, do you know what you're saying? Unbeknownst to the rest of the dragons and peoples here, there's a major flaw in the essence blood this couple had in their possession. With each use meant the depletion of its potency, meaning it won't be able to keep them protected forever. There's going to be a time where it runs dry and everyone would swarm at them in seconds when that day comes. Seeing his wife's inaction, the man frowns. You don't need to show mercy to these people after the way they're treating you. If you don't bring out the essence blood, then it will mean our death. Biting her lower lip, Shifu, it's you who are non-benevolent first, so don't blame me for the injustice. At that, this wretched woman quickly took out the bottle containing said item and popped the cork. In that instant, an immense pressure grips the air around the entire Dragon Mountain, causing all of the residences to take to their knee. Also, Long Shi's residual wisp of his soul had also dispersed into nothingness under this shock. Son. The first elder wanted to defy this power after seeing his son's soul dispersing into nothingness due to the pressuring might. Unfortunately for this senior, the most he could muster was to keep himself from prostrating like the rest despite his shaky appearance. Long Yu, I won't let you get away with this even if I have to throw myself at you. Red in his eyes like blood's about to come out now, the elder stares intently at the hateful couple. Wah! Long Dai burst into tears. Grandpa, unable to bear the crying appearance of her friend, Dragony pokes at her mental pillar using the most pleading voice she could make. Prince, can you help Dai's grandfather? The prince is as powerful as the queen, he will certainly have a mean to save Dai's grandfather. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.